It's Friday. Welcome aboard. Come, let me give you an awawa too. We're welcoming you aboard the AM show with a big bear hug. I'm no bear, but hopefully my arms are wide enough. I do this together with Sweetie Abochi. And today, here's what we have lined up for you on this wet Friday morning. Oh, and lest I forget, if you've experienced any flooding or if your area has been a bit difficult to deal with, maybe muddy and all of that, you're struggling this morning to get to work, share those stories with us in the course of the news review. But what can you expect on the show? The news with Kissi Agyabeng in a bit, and then after that, the news review. Dr. Amwakoba is a political scientist. He'll be joining us right here for that conversation. Of course, he's going to be all the way in Kumasi. After which, we'll serve you sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullah. And then, yours truly, I'll bring you my my blunt thoughts before we get into the big stories. Now, in terms of the big stories, there's the fight against corruption, which is getting more convoluted as the Special Prosecutor, Kissi Agyabeng, faces impeachment following a petition to remove him. But who penned this petition? It is said to have been written by the former Special Prosecutor, Martin Amidu, and forwarded to the Chief Justice, Gertrude Isaba Tokono, by President Akufo-Addo on the 6th day of May 2024. So where does this leave us in terms of our fight against corruption? Well, we'll be delving into those issues this morning on the AM show. But there's also that talk about cement prices. The Chamber of Cement Manufacturers say they cannot reduce the prices of cement due to the depreciation, the free fall of the Ghana cedi. Now, this comes on the heels of the Minister for Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond, directing the Cement Manufacturing Development Committee to intervene immediately, but they have refused. What does this mean for individuals in the housing industry? What does it mean for you who use cement in your work? That issue as well on our chopping board this morning. But finally, how about we celebrate those who make an impact? Sometimes in this country they say people are not patriotic because no one acknowledges you for the great things you do. Well, we are doing just that. 10 nominees, 10 impact makers. And we're going to be telling you more about the Joy Impact Makers Awards and the need for groups and corporate organizations to be a part of this noble cause of shining a spotlight on those who make strides to impact the lives of others in our society. That's a laudable cause, isn't it? And we want you to come aboard as well by way of sponsorship and more so that we can keep this running. Join us with your thoughts. Share your thoughts with us via the social media streams. We'll be right back with the news. Do stay.
It's Friday. I trust you've had an eventful week. My name is Kissi Agyabeng, and I have the utmost pleasure of serving you the AM News. Now, Joy News is learning a petition seeking to remove Kissi Agyabeng as Special Prosecutor has been forwarded by President Akufo-Addo to the Chief Justice. The petition dated April 30, 2024 was sent to the President by former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu and conveyed to Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono on May 6, 2024. Okay, so we'll bring you more later on the show. Now, the cement manufacturers are on a warpath with the Trade Minister, Katie Hammond, serving a strong notice they will not comply with the ministry's directive to immediately reverse recent increase in cement prices. In a statement, the ministry said this directive is to check arbitrary increases in cement prices. But Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers, Dr. George Dawson Amwa, says the minister's directive lacks basis.
In the first place, it came as a surprise, as something that we never expected. Come to think of the relationship that we've built with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I would say to an authority that the cement industry will be, I think, if not the only industry or one of the industries that have established a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Trade and Industry because of the sensitivity of the product, because of how economically the product is being, seen in the country. You're talking about cement, and he's talking about the use of cement, infrastructure, buildings, blah, 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 blah. They put it that way. So we established that relationship. And one of the key areas for this memorandum of understanding is to judge so that we really look into what goes into cement production in terms of cost, so that at least at the ending point in time, the cement prices will be stabilized, among other things, just to ensure there's fairness in the competition. Now, there is actually tense competition because there are a lot of manufacturers. And again, the sensitivity of this product in terms of quality, we should ensure that the quality is always actually complied with. Because when you're producing substandard cement, you know the consequences, collapse of buildings. So, all these put together, we've really established a very good relationship with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So on this, it comes as a shock because surprise that, hey, these people have increased their price. The first approach out, I really think the best approach that the minister should have done was to call us for a meeting.
So you're expecting a more of a forum where the privately engaged the manufacturers, than a fiat being issued?
Exactly, because the point is that we are talking about production here. We are talking about, manufacturing here. So it means the outcome, and we are talking about production cost, that leads to prices. And these manufacturers who are into that business, that professional business, considering all factors have come with a price, definitely they have a basis. They have a justification. Then you see somewhere, just issue a directive that, hey, just like reverse it. On what basis?
Are you going to comply with that directive of reversing the prices?
It can't work. Because the point is that with the directive doesn't come with any basis. Because the point is that the price increases came with basis. City depreciation, cement production is hinged on importation, clinker, and other allied, equipment, spare parts, whatever. And the ministry knows it. About 75%, 80% of the raw materials, they are imported, dollar-based. And my brother, for 3 months, you're talking about, a cedi to dollar, 11 to 15. And you have an industry whereby it's solely, heavily dependent on importation.
And meanwhile, cement retailers have begun adjusting the price of cement on the markets. They spoke with Joy News' Esther Nkrumah.
The prices of cement has surged drastically, prompting the Minister for Trades and Industry to urge cement manufacturing organizations to reduce their prices. We've been to several shops here in Accra to interact with traders as to why the price of the cement keeps increasing. I spoke to a particular trader who said that he had to increase his price by 10 cedis just this morning. So the cement he used to sell for 82 cedis is now selling for 92 cedis. I spoke to another trader who says that she's been forced to increase the price to 105 cedis. They complain that customers do not come to buy their product like they used to. And some of them have attributed the increase in the price of cement to the decline in the value of the cedi. From Accra, Esther A.C. Nkrumah.
Now, environmental civil society organizations are suing government for allowing mining, both legal and illegal, and logging in several protected forests across the country. Illegal mining is currently devastating Ghana's forests, with the government struggling to contain the menace. The CSOs, including Arocha, EcoCare, as well as the Nature and Development Foundation, have already complied with provisions of the State Proceedings Act and served a notice on the Attorney General. Listen to Deputy National Director of Arocha speaking at a news conference on Thursday.
We served notice on government to sue somewhere 19th of April. And as is required by law, if you want to take the government on a legal action, you need to give them 30-day notice. So we actually, I would say, a week away from the expiration of that 30-day notice. And if the government doesn't take steps to engage and also annul the contracts that they have so far indicated, we will then pursue a full action. And that is where we are going to file our full statements in court for the legal action to commence. At the moment, what we are doing in terms of serving notice is equally an important part of the process. So we've been expecting that the government will engage, but since we serve notice, there has not been any engagement. And so from next week, we know that we are eventually going to file our writ of summons for the legal action to officially commence.
The CSOs accuse government of illegally converting protected forests into logging areas and granting permits for same.
So I think we all know that for some time now, Ghana is going through a phase where we've seen the government of Ghana taking active steps to convert our forest reserves either as mining concessions or as logging concessions. And this particular action by government is also affecting critical protected forest reserves in this country. And some of them are actually considered globally significant biodiversity areas, not only for biodiversity, but also for ecosystem services. Now, we've seen that the government or the Ministry of Lands has issued some administrative instructions to the Forestry Commission to convert some of these protected forest reserves into logging areas under some timber utilization contract, which we think is very illegal. And as a result, we wrote to the Ministry of Lands asking them to forfeit this action and take steps to rather restore and rehabilitate some of these forest reserves. But we are not seeing that happen. Our notice to pursue a legal action was served on the Attorney General. Because the Ministry of Lands is a direct agency of the state, we served notice to the Attorney General, and we believe that by now the Ministry of Land has heard about it. I mean, in our notice to them, we actually requested for an opportunity to discuss the issues and even find a way to settle the issue without going to court. But we realized that there has not been any interest to engage on the process, so we believe that it is time that we push the issue further.
And away from illegal mining, Information Minister Designate Fatimatu Abubakar says government has advocated stiffer punishment against persons who attack journalists in their line of duty. Speaking at the 3rd African Media Convention in Accra, Fatimatu Abubakar added her ministry is in talks with the judiciary to ensure such punishments deter people from attacking journalists. The minister-designate also added that government's introduction of the GhanaToday.gov.gh as a way of fighting misinformation has yielded results. Kenneth Jesse has more in the following report.
With Ghana moving 12 places up the World Press Freedom Index to 50th position, President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Jumfour, who is the co-chair of the local organizing committee of the 3rd African Convention, said the country's improved performance on the Press Freedom Index is as a result of the collaborative efforts between media practitioners and government to address the press freedom concerns in the country.
I am happy to inform this gathering that Ghana's World Press Freedom Index improved from the 62nd position last year to 50th this year. This achievement is due to a number of factors, including strong collaboration among media partners and the government to address press freedom concerns.
Information Minister Designate Fatima Abubakar highlighted efforts being undertaken by government, some of which include a media capacity enhancement program, which involved 140 journalists with plans to extend it across the country, and the establishment of the GhanaToday.gov.gh website, where all government information are posted in an attempt to curb misinformation about government and other state agencies.
The Ministry of Information has been actively engaging with the Judicial Service. We have advocated for severe punishments by the judiciary for those who attack journalists and media houses. We must hold those who attempt to silence the press accountable for their actions. The government of Ghana also launched the GhanaToday.gov.gh website, a pioneering initiative in our ongoing battle for truth and clarity. A dedicated team at the Information Services Department, ISD, manages this website, which serves as a fortress against misinformation and a repository of accurate information directed from the ministries, departments, and agencies.
Chief of Staff Fremo Seopare, who represents the President, charged journalists to intensify their reports on climate change due to the catastrophic dangers it poses to the world, with Africans being the biggest victims.
Research has estimated that the impact of climate change on the African continent will be worse than slavery and colonialism, and thus behoves on the African media to accept its role in combating climate change and its attendant environmental crisis. Everyone deserves to live in a healthy environment. Therefore, environmental awareness is key to ensuring that people understand how their actions affect the environment. The media has a responsibility to keep everyone informed about the adverse effects of human activities and ultimately the protection of our environment.
The Third African Media Convention is under the theme Enhancing Freedom, Innovation and Environmental Sustainability in the Dynamic Media Space.
And we end the news in the Upper West region, where authorities and students of the St. Francis Xavier Minor Seminary in the Wa municipality of the Western region are heaving a sigh of relief following a donation of a mechanized borehole, renovation of the school's basketball courts, and 3 sets of new jerseys to the school. The donation was done by the 1998 year group as part of the Silver Jubilee celebration to ameliorate the suffering of students searching for water and also to support irrigation and fish farming projects initiated by the school. Join News' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
One of the challenges faced by authorities and students of the St. Francis Xavier Minor Seminary in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region is inadequate water for curricular and extracurricular activities. The maze of students have outnumbered the water sources at the minor seminary and therefore impedes academic work at the school. All will, however, be a thing of the past thanks to the 1998 year group of the school who are concerned about the plight of the students and donated a mechanized borehole to ameliorate the struggles of the students. It is also to support irrigation and fish farming projects introduced by the school. As part of the 25th anniversary celebration of the 1998 year group, they handed over the mechanized borehole, renovated the basketball court, and presented 3 new sets of jerseys to the school team valued over 94,000 Ghana cedis. Representative of the 1998 Xavier Year Group, Reverend Father Paul Kala, emphasized the importance of providing clean water and explained the reason behind renovating the basketball court.
When we're thinking about our 25th anniversary, we thought, well, Xavier doesn't have a whole lot of boreholes. Even if Xavier has it, we can still give one more. That will help to kind of the irrigation project and the fish ponds project that they have started, so that they can have more to feed themselves and then to be self-reliant. So we thought giving them a borehole will give them good water to drink and help with their projects, so that, you know, the things are hard. So once you have water, you can do things on your own. It is a very good thing.
He urged the students to let their light shine even after leaving the school.
Let that light shine wherever you go. Let people see that, yes, you truly are a Xavier old boy. There are so many of us all across the country, all across the whole world. Wherever you go, you will find an old boy there.
Another representative, Augustine Tugbokok, urged the students not to forget their roots upon completion of their studies. Rector of St. Francis Xavier Minor Seminary, Reverend Father Martin Nadiri Batadiri stressed the importance of prioritizing societal benefits of individual wealth accumulation.
At this era, that people are inward looking, people are interested in amassing wealth. They are ready to part with what they have earned through their hard work and discipline. That it will be a communication to all of us gathered here, students, teachers, parents, and media personnel, that we all should be outward looking. Our students used to walk long distances looking for water. Now water is made available to them at their doorsteps, at the dormitories, classroom side, dining hall side. We have water close by.
Senior Prefect of Xavier Minor Seminary, Colin Sole, expressed gratitude to the 1998-year group and highlighted the anticipated benefits of the donation.
Providing us with a basketball court and a borehole means a lot, such that we don't have to walk long distances, as our rector rightly said, to fetch water. And also, concerning the basketball court, it actually helps to boost our aerobic activities, makes us fit and everything. So we are very grateful for the facilities they put up for us.
Okay. Reporting for Dre News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And that's it for AM News. But please do log on to myjoyonline.com for more news stories. Up next, we have the news review. And today we'll be joined by political scientist Dr. Amwakoba. My name is Denise Agyabeng. Have a wonderful Friday.
Welcome back. This is still the AM show. And guess who is here? Well, it is the sweet Christiana Abochi, a.k.a. Mary Poppins.
Very patriotic this morning.
You should. I wish you could see her feet this morning. She has some, is it Lacoste or so?
Yeah, Lacoste.
On. I guess at some point we'll highlight her sneakers. And we also have a bit of an anklet in there. I'm giving an apt description. On black, as the Americans will say, pants. I don't know whether these are palazzo pants. They don't look like it.
They are.
Oh, they are palazzo pants?
They are palazzo pants.
Wow.
Just like you're wearing Jinyame slippers, Jinyame rings, Jinyame, is that a brooch? And you also have, you know, the colors of the nation, red, yellow, green, and black in there. So we are still matching. And we are just being very patriotic citizens this morning. We love Ghana. We come here to do what we do because we love the country. And today, Benjamin said, Jinyame, his blunt thoughts.
Anyway.
Guess his blunt thoughts. Jinyame so no.
All right. Since you're asking, since you're pointing to my blunt thoughts, today I'll be sharing my thoughts on blowing cash in a desperately stifling economy. The elite versus the ordinary man. But I'll bring you the scoop on that later. Right before we get to our guest for today, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment every weekday. And they're offering you, as always, prostate screening for free. Those of you who have been saying prostrate, no, prostrate is a verb, to lie. Prostate screening for free. There's also fertility screening for free if you're a woman, right? And here is where you can reach out to them. Here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra Dianaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa, and Asiaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, and joining us this morning, we have Dr. Richard Amwakoba. He is a political scientist and a man who bears his thoughts, speaks his mind. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
We're grateful that you've taken the time to join us this morning on the newspaper review on the AM show. I hope you're well.
I'm doing okay, yes.
I know it's early morning and we are waking you up. Fachaying. Now, let me just ask. It's been raining. It's been pouring in Accra from yesterday. In fact, there was a place I had to go to yesterday evening. It made everything delay and all of that. Into this morning. Was it raining in I don't know whether you're in Kumasi currently, but did it rain where you are?
No, it's not. It's not raining in Kumasi. It rained 3 days ago, but it wasn't too long.
Oh, I see. And what's the power situation like in Kumasi?
So far, so good. We were in the dark. I think a transformer went out, so it was almost from 6 p.m. to the next day about 3 p.m. before it came on.
Right.
So almost 24 hours.
Right. We thank God. Some people still have power outages, but for me, I must confess, for a number of days now, I think throughout this week, apart from, was it the weekend or Monday? I think it was the weekend.
I slept in darkness last night.
You slept in darkness last night?
The lights went off around 4:30 p.m. and it got back around 2 a.m. So yeah.
Okay.
Well,
4:30 p.m. to 2 a.m.
4:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. So not the usual 12 hours, but
it's not a 12 hours. That was about 10 hours, 9.5 hours. But I have not had a power outage in maybe 4-5 days. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I'm happy. What I don't know, though, is whether maybe sometimes when I'm out of home, they do it. That one I don't know. But as of when I get home, there have not been. Doc, so we have a tradition here. We give about a minute and a half for our guests to talk about something eating them up, something burning on their chest. You have a minute and a half to share any thoughts if you have them. If not, we'll go into the papers, please.
Okay, there's something bothering me indeed. I had mentioned on the news at Kuma FM or somewhere like that, that danger coming, the danger looming, but nobody seems to pay attention to it. 3 days ago, World Food Program reiterated what I've been saying, that people will queue for food, not food to go and cook, but cook food, give me something to eat, and it's coming. And they have said it too, the danger is coming. And yet nobody is talking about it. We are talking about elections instead. The danger is coming, now this is here. Food prices are going up too high, and that's danger. What is makes them do this? You'll be surprised. The answer of the problem is planting. You'll be surprised. And the people don't pay attention to little things like planting. They think big is that dam, that's what it's up. No. These little things here, don't pay attention. You will think about exposure. When rain and the wind is knocked down just by order, it means just at once have a short period. No planting, so the price is gone up. Fine, the price is gone up. I think that back 10, 20, go back 50. Now, you don't have to specify planting yourself. Once in a while, I like to do ripe things. That one works. You can't find it. You use Kelly, a plantain.
Doc, so here's what we're going to do. We're losing you a bit. I think it may be the weather affecting the network, and the volume is pretty low. We're going to try to remedy that and then try this again. So give us about 30 seconds. Let's try again. If you could maybe reposition yourself as well, that would be good. But interesting angles he is raising there. For you, if I asked you to point to one thing that has caught your interest this week, what would it be?
City depreciation and the die effects. I think Doc is still trying to...
yes, Doc, just a second. We'll be right with you. We want to sort out that connectivity to you. The city depreciation.
You know what's interesting, Ben, is that I had never been to Abosokai. So going there on Monday or Tuesday or so, I had a really good appreciation of how these inflation, this depreciation of our currency costs so much. Anyway, let's let Doc finish this.
As for the CD, when I interacted with Prince Agyabeng, he he made mention of the fact that the way we're going, it could hit between 18 and 20 cedis by end of year. No one wants
end of
that.
year is too far, Ben.
No, but there also will be mechanisms from the central bank. There will be other mechanisms to try and contain the pressure. But the question is, around this period when MNCs are getting ready to repatriate what their earnings in dollars is going to put pressure on the economy.
Unfortunately,
we are in an electoral
dollars
year.
Now. You know, the panic is causing most people to say, let's go
buy
dollars and keep it because when it goes up. But forgetting that the rush is what actually also boosts the increase, you know, the fall of the
So we must all be patriotic.
Yeah.
But we also don't know how many politicians have huge stashes of dollars, euros, and pounds in their houses and how patriotic
unexplained
they are.
Amounts of money.
Don't ask about unexplained. It makes no difference in this country. I'm being brutal here.
Yeah.
You know, Kissi Agyabeng said that, and a lot of people supported it. Some took, aim at it. He said that Ghanaians generally are not good people. We are evil. To some extent, he is right. You see someone speaking the truth, other people will try to hack you at the knees. You see someone trying to rise, people will try to bring you down and all of that.
PhD.
So it is what it is. Doc, let's try one more time and I'll let you summarize your thoughts. Can you hear me, Dr.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a bit faint, but I can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. I was talking about, you are talking right now, you're talking about inflation. But we just like textbook too much textbook. We think some little thing like plantain cannot bring about inflation. Of course it can. The choice, especially in the Ashanti region, is between food is food. If you don't have anything, you eat any food. But there are many people who like it, especially in the Ashanti region. Some people eat it every day. What do they use? They eat plantain. They fry the plantain. They boil the plantain. All sorts of food they do with plantain. So when it's in short supply, what is the alternative? You are looking at plantain at 70 cedis, and you are looking at a bag of rice for 70 cedis. Most people will opt for the rice, even though they don't like to eat it every day, especially the grown-ups. But here's the problem. If you buy the plantain, maximum 2 days is finished. If you buy the rice, you're eating yourself at least 1 week. Which one would you get? So people will opt for rice. And then more people going for rice, the price is going up. The price is going up. That is what I'm talking about. So the plantain shortage is causing rice prices to go up. Other imported food to go up. We don't have our own staple. And why don't we have it? Simply because we don't train the farmers well. Every farmer who plants plantain or banana must have a proper, you know what I'm talking about, some device that can hold the tree so that the tree that has fallen down must be brought up and propped up for it to continue growing. We don't have it. Some people don't know. We leave it to chance. So when the winds came this time, they knocked even his mercy here and knocked the whole, one guy I know, all his plantains down. What is he going to do? If he's lucky and prop them up quickly, they will continue to. If he doesn't, then the plantain that is falling down will die and the new one will spring up. But that means the new one has started the whole cycle again. And for the interim, there's no plantain. That is the problem. And if there's no plantain, you go for alternative. Rice or something else. And supply and demand makes the demand very high. The prices go up. And we don't know why inflation is getting higher. Is that little plantain that we didn't pay attention to? That's the problem. What is our great news? Should I be telling them this? I said it, 3-4 months ago, that people will be lining up to get food, for help, begging for food to eat. Nothing has been. No, I don't see any program to intervene here. I haven't seen it. Maybe the minister or whoever has been saying it, I haven't heard it. It's very bad. The government is not just for big things,
Right.
like dams and roads. But this little thing here that you are not paying attention to, is bringing about big problems. Now they're talking about inflation without looking at all of these things. You don't know why the thing is going up. I'm pointing out one to you, one little one. It's getting terrible to me. What is their job? What do they do?
Interesting thoughts, Dr. Mwakoba. But here we go. Let's get into some other interesting stories in the newspapers, and we'll take them and put them to you for your thoughts as well.
Well, let's start with the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, Free SHS brings gender equality, according to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Give more support to media, Freema tells AMC. New arrest in Kaswa soldier killing. And corruption more prone in customary land administration. Northern Chiefs hail Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Let's start with a story on page 3 of the Daily Guide, which says, jurors strike again over unpaid allowances. And it reads, jurors yesterday declared another indefinite strike over unpaid allowances due them since February last year. The jurors decided to abandon their duty after a promise to have the 10-month allowance arrears paid in May was not fulfilled. A source who spoke to Daily Guide on condition of anonymity said the jurors decided to embark on a strike due to the non-payment of the allowances for February 2023 and from July 2023 to May 2024. This is the first time they're striking this year, but last year I remember there was a series of strike actions to demand their allowances. But Doc, let me hold on for me. Let me do 2 more stories before we come for your reaction so that we can beat the time. There's a new arrest in the soldier killing in Kaswa. Another suspect has been arrested in connection with the murder of a soldier at Millennium City, Kaswa, in the central region. The suspect, Nana Kofiamo, has been charged with conspiracy to commit murder and was yesterday hauled before court alongside Ben Lord Ababiu, aka Nana Barima Ababiu, a self-acclaimed traditional ruler who allegedly shot and killed the soldier on 30th April 2020. It's good to know that the case is ongoing, investigations are ongoing, and the case has been tried in court so that those culpable can face justice. One last story, and then we will get to that. Okay, let's do this cocoa story. The story is on page 11 of the Daily Guide newspaper. 2 jailed for attempted cocoa beans smuggling. 2 persons, a driver and a teacher, have been handed jail term and fines by the Dumasi Krobo Circuit Court in separate incidents involving attempted smuggling of cocoa beans to neighboring Togo. The latest convictions mark yet another success in the crackdown in activities of syndicates engaged in smuggling of Ghana's cocoa to neighboring countries. The suspects were accosted by the Anti-Cocoa Smuggling Task Force during routine operations last week around Mamewata in the eastern region, whilst attempting to transport smuggled beans to the neighboring country, Togo. Doc, your quick reactions on these 3 stories.
Which one do you want first?
We can start with the jurors striking over unpaid allowances.
Yes. That is unfortunate because these are not people who even want to be known, right? And for them to come out and demonstrate we will not work anymore, this is very sad, really. It tells you, now, no matter how I feel about the government, no government will sit there and allow jurors to go on strike before they do something. That tells you we are in big trouble. There is no money. That is very short of it. That's it. There's no money. Of course, that doesn't mean there's absolutely no money. Depending on what they want, the priorities will come. And for now, I can say the priority does not include Jews. But I have no doubt at all their action will bring about some reaction from the government. Maybe they will not be able to pay them all their money, but to pay part of it and promise to pay the rest later. And that's what they should do. They should do. Why do you sit there and allow these people to go on strike before you do something? Engage them. Talk to them. Even if you don't have money, it's not only money. Keep talking to them for them to know that you are still thinking about it. And you sit there for them to go on strike before you do something. It is not good. It's not good at all. You see, the big guys, they got money. They don't know. They think it's like that for everybody. These people make plans with their little money. A little money. And when it doesn't come, it creates havoc for them. This is why they will go on strike. So please, I plead with those who are supposed to take care of this situation, engage them, do something, an emergency measure for them to put their strike down, go back to work, and then engage them small,
right.
keep paying them as you go along. That's what I've said.
All right. What about the two jailed for cocoa? I mean, the states of cocoa in the Ghana now. What are your thoughts on that? The dwindling quality, cocoa board being not credit worthy and all that. What are your thoughts on the state of Ghana's cocoa today?
We clearly are on the wrong path. If it continues this way, it's just a matter of time before the whole industry collapses. Don't forget that this has been the industry that has sustained the government from independence when we had nothing but that cocoa. Now, look where we are. Look at cocoa board, no credit worth. How? I was saying long ago, how is it possible that this company can borrow money every year to buy cocoa? Why? At some point, you have to say, no, I have to have my own money to buy the cocoa from the farmers. Or you can arrange with those who buy the cocoa from us overseas, give us an advance so that we will supply you the cocoa. Why not? Why do you go and borrow money, syndicated loan every year, pay interest on it, and then give money to expatriate companies that buy cocoa too? Why? I don't understand. This is what they are doing. And we are in trouble. And if it continues this way, the whole thing will shut down.
Right.
The farmers are willing to let the Galamsey people use their land instead of cocoa cultivation. That's how bad it is.
Thank you, Doc. Ben, what papers do you... I mean, I'm glad that at least every week we see stories about people who attempt to smuggle cocoa being apprehended and, brought to justice. So if this doesn't even solve the problem, at least it deters those who try to, shortchange the country by trying to smuggle cocoa out of the country. But let's get into it.
Well, speaking of cocoa, when you look at the Daily Graphic newspaper, Your Ghana, My Ghana, innovate to boost cocoa consumption, chocolate producer advocates. When, production is falling, I don't know, but that's a good call. Stakeholders in the local cocoa value chain have been urged to innovate to help Ghanaians develop a taste for the commodity. The founder of Bioko Treats Limited, Jean Donko, said local consumption of cocoa and chocolate was vital not only as a means to increase production or to better its quality, but also to secure cocoa production in Ghana's future. She made the call last Wednesday during an interview on the Your Ghana, My Ghana program hosted by Dede Amano Wilkes on Graphic Online's YouTube platform. And there's all this talk. Interestingly, yesterday, someone gifted me with some, Toblerone chocolate. It's made from outside the country and all of that. Tasted good. Dark chocolate, right? It's actually very good for our health, but how much are we producing here? How are we even able to sustain it? You look at the promise some time back about serving children hot chocolate every day or giving them some chocolate every day. What happened to that initiative? While you must control the sugar levels and obesity and everything, chocolate is actually very good. It's good for your heart. It's good for so many things within the body. Recently, I heard the Cocoa Board boss, Joseph Baidu, also highlighting some of these, that if we took more of it, we probably wouldn't be going to the hospital as many times as we are. But the truth is, the ordinary Ghanaian cannot afford a bar of chocolate. The ordinary, average Ghanaian. How much is it? What's the minimum wage? You're going to spend your entire day's earnings on chocolate? So those are some of the things in there. I agree with this call, let's innovate, but the innovation starts from the farm. People are still using a cutlass to break the pot. Now get to for a country like ours, after how many decades of cocoa farming? Doc, do you have any thoughts on this matter?
Well, yes, you're right, completely right. If the cocoa price, the chocolate price is too high, you can't buy it. Most Ghanaians would like to eat chocolate from time to time. That is good. As you said, how much does it take to use that Panama test for cocoa? What is he going to eat at home? And so, many Ghanaians have never tasted chocolate before. Farmers people have never tasted chocolate because they sometimes can afford just a few. It is very. We have look. We used to have 1% in the whole. By now, you can take chocolate and chocolate double t-shirt. You never know. Somebody will come up with some recipe that very cocoa in it. We don't do anything. You know, we don't have that cocoa. This year, last going to cocoa. Can you imagine?
Doc, so interesting points you're making, but again, I think because of the networks, your line keeps breaking. We've heard what you've heard so far, you've said so far, but if you could just reposition yourself. I'm sorry we're making you do this, but we can't hear what you're saying clearly. So maybe if you could just move to another location and let's try. Just move a little where you are. Maybe the connection would be better. Can you do that for us, Doc?
Yes, I'm walking as you were speaking.
Okay, all right. Did you say you were walking? You're moving?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's better now. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. I was lamenting about the state of the whole industry. Right? The farmers are giving their farms to people who are doing galamsey, an illegal activity, because they say they get more money doing that than farming. How did we get to this state? The crop that has sustained the country from independence and beyond. Now, it's nothing. Nothing. We are importing cocoa from Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire in order to be able to fill our overseas buyers' demand. And even then, we are producing some certain things here, cocoa powder and things like that. If we don't import cocoa from these two countries, we can't meet it. That's how sorry we have come to be. It's very, very sad. Not acceptable at all. And yet, we don't talk about it. We talk about electoral commission. How we win the election? The people using shenanigans to win. That is all we care about. How we win. And the famine is coming. Hunger is coming. You
say famine. Famine is coming. Hunger is coming.
Yes. It's coming. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming because the inflation rate is too high. People cannot buy the food. How good is the food when you can't buy it? And so you wait and see. You see crime going up again. No doubt at all. If you are hungry, you become a thief. Not because you are a thief, but you don't have a choice. You have to eat. Only a fool will sit there and starve to death when somebody has some money. Go and get it. That's how it works.
Well, that must be pretty desperate. They say opportunity makes the thief. But let me just get to a few more stories, some headlines. Be Accurate Information Dissemination Ambassadors, Chief of Staff urges African media. Integrity in the practice of journalism is key to promoting a healthy information ecosystem, the Chief of Staff, Akosua Fremose Pare, has said. Quoting her, she says, the press, which is considered as the fourth estate of the realm, constitutes a segment of society that has an indirect but influential role in political systems under democracies, she said. But I've come to realize something, Doc, and before I just take some other headlines and look at the story, I've come to realize that there is people's truth, and then there is the actual truth. There is the truth of the MPP foot soldier. There is the truth of the NDC foot soldier. There is the truth of other people who want to become president today, young people who claim they are something, right? And I do not denigrate them, but some of them, honestly, it's jocular for me. And then there is the truth as it is. And now there are so many different truths which are lies that it's difficult. Yesterday, when my interview with Captain Prince Kofi Agyabeng retired was played on YouTube, it's garnered quite a number of views. If you've not seen it, you can check it out. I noticed someone lamenting and what he said and all of that, and why I even interviewed him. And it just hit me that people can't take the truth. Some people can't. The truth back then is not the truth today. And the truth today, who knows what it will be. It's just something I've been thinking about. Maybe you should think about it. What is your truth? Are you looking at it dispassionately, or are you looking at it in a skewed way because it is ofrimi ha, ofrimi krom, or yeah, aigbeni, or yeah, kenni, or yeah, incremoni, or yeah, Christian, or yeah, say, or yeah, say. Or maybe that person pays for something for you, so your truth lies with that person. You should think about that. But that is what the Chief of Staff says. And I'll end with this. 5 CSOs to drag government to court over breach of biodiversity laws. I support this. Daro Bosu is a deputy director of Arosha, Ghana. And 5 civil society organizations have served notice to proceed to court next week if the government does not annul its contracts with some companies to log and mine in globally significant biodiversity areas in the country. Of particular concern, they said, was the recent declassification of GSBAs within some forest reserves, including the Subri River Forest Reserve and Kokosua Hills Forest Reserve, and the subsequent award of timber utilization contract to some logging companies. Recently, we had a cocoa farmer also join us in the studio talking about mining in Etiwa, the Etiwa forest. I support what they are doing. I know likely it may amount to nothing looking at how some of these have gone in the past, but at least we would have shown what we feel, how we feel. Quick reflections. I am done from my end, Dr. Richard Amwakoba. Quick thoughts?
All the issues are important. Where do I start from? Let's start on the first one. Please remind me a little bit what you said about the first one.
So be accurate information dissemination ambassadors. That's the chief of staff. And I was talking about how in Ghana there are so many different truths. There is only one truth, but everybody has his truth or her truth.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, there cannot be two truths. Truth is only one. It may be skewed a bit when you look at it, but still the main elements are there. But then in Ghana, opposite can be called truth. Opposite. Just as long as you're talking about the same thing, you can claim that this is my truth. You don't have your truth, and I don't have my truth. The truth is the truth does not belong to me. I may massage it a little bit, but I can't get away from the main elements of the truth. But we don't know that. We say whatever we want. You can pay someone, some rascal will come and say outrageous things. He knows it's not true, but as long as he gets some money, he stays. So it seems the country has gotten so desperate that people are willing to sell their mothers for chop money, really. Because where he gets the chop money from is where his mouth is. So it's not a shame. There's no shame. Just say it. Just say it. If you keep talking about it, eventually they will accept it. Or eventually it will go away. This is how we are. And so we get rascals to say whatever they want.
Right. Well, we have come to the end of the news review. If you have any final thoughts to share with us briefly before we go, Doc, this would be your last word. Any thoughts?
Well, we should pay attention. We should not leave everything to the government. Right now, it has become obvious that they are in trouble. They don't know what they are doing. This is not a criticism of the government. This is the fact. They can do it. They are not able to do it. There is no money. It's getting worse. So we shouldn't only look to the government. Do what you can do to help. Sometimes that's what we have to do. It's our case. It's not the government's country. It's ours. So if you do something or want the political side to do something.
Apt call, and it's something I say all the time. Do what you can in your corner. Brighten it, and together we can do better. Because relying on government alone is like this message that comes from Kissi Agyabeng, who says, our country lacks political leaders who speak truthfully, and if nothing is done to change our country, then we are doomed for eternity. Where there is a paucity of truth, there's also chaos. But thank you. That is Dr. Richard Amwakoba. He is a political scientist and a man who speaks his mind. He joined us for the news review. Right before we go, sweetie, any thoughts?
Hunger is coming.
I hope not. I hope not. That's
famine is coming.
He says famine is coming, hunger
is coming.
Yeah. Dr. Richard Amwakoba. Blowing cash in a desperately stifling economy. The elite versus the ordinary man. That will be the title of my blunt thoughts for today. But let me also quickly celebrate Abigail Jemfi. Tomorrow is your birthday. Mama, should I say Mama too? And Nelly will explain why I'm saying Mama too. But happy birthday to you, Mommy. God richly bless you. You've been so lovely to me. And I am very grateful from the bottom of my heart. Happy birthday to you. And God bless you in everything you do. This segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they are offering you free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you are a woman. All you can do, well, reach out to them at any of their branches across Pentex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Chronomabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zema. You can call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And let me just say, Mama Abigail, tomorrow is your birthday, but I'm celebrating you today because I'll not be on air. Likely on Monday, I will repeat this. But let's settle for sports up next Tuesday.
Debbie, thanks very much for your time. How are you doing? We haven't heard from you.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing good.
And where have you been hiding?
Here in Texas, College Station.
I haven't heard from you in a while.
Oh, yeah, I know it's been a while. So I'm going through some challenges this whole year. So I'm just hanging in here. You know about my injury and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been the same old news. So. Yeah.
You still injured?
Yeah.
The injury you suffered about 2 years ago hasn't been.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. But yeah, it's still there because it doesn't go away, and I don't get much attention on it, So it just comes and goes. So according to a trainer that I used to see, he said, with how it is, if we don't deal with it, and I rest. Then it rests. So as soon as I start training, then it comes again. So it's just on and off.
Wow. What would it take for it to be treated?
Come again.
What would it take for it to be treated? Because it's been 2 years.
So, according to, so I did
a scan
hand. Yes, thank you. So I did a scan, and then according to them, I have a fluid in my Achilles that is not supposed to be there. So the more I train, the more the fluids start to get hard. Right. So the more it get hard, it will reach a stage where it will pop. So that is when it will cause a tear. Right. So it will explode, and then it will cause a tear. So that, and then if it does, then that will be the end of my career. Right. Because right now, I'm not in school anymore, and I'm not working, and I don't get money from anywhere. So I didn't want to reach that stage. So that's why I was forced to, just rest for maybe this year. So I'm just resting it, and I try to do some exercise on my own. I don't see any trainer or anything. So
you just mentioned two things. You're not working. You're out of school. How do you go? You are injured. How does that happen?
It's by the grace of God.
Why is it by the grace of
God? I'm a Ghanaian, right? I'm a Ghanaian, and you know how we do it. I've been here for here at A&M for 4 years, and I've been feeding off of my scholarship, like what I've been getting throughout the whole 4 years here at A&M. So yeah, that's what I'm still feeding on. I'm in a rich stage where if I don't get the job that I'm working on to get, then I'll be broke maybe soon. But yeah, that's what I'm going through right now.
No, Deborah, you've taken the conversation completely to a different level, because how I was envisaging this conversation, you've just taken it to a different level. But I'll come back to the genesis of your life story, because that is actually where I would have liked us to start from. But you're saying stuff that are quite interesting for me, where that if your scholarships expires, what is the alternative for you? And what has been the conversation with Ghana Athletics, which is the athletics governing body for the country, the institution that you have been a part of and won the flag of Ghana, flown it high at major competitions. So what have they been saying with this injury? Because to be injured for 2 years is serious.
Yeah. So first of all, we come here for school, right? And being here for school is kind of like having a contract with the school. So you just come here to go to school and then compete for the university. So after you're done, your contract is done. Like whatever you have with them is done. So then that is where I would say life begins, right? So that is where maybe after school they start looking for a job with your certificate. So that was what I was going to do, because I remember having an interview with you. That was my last year in school. I remember having an interview. I think it was you or Fentio, where I said, after school, I'm done with track, because that's where most of us do.
You and I had that conversation. You told me you were going to quit, and I asked the question, because you said without support you would quit, and I was like, what if you get the support?
Yeah. So after school, I was going to quit, because that's what almost everyone here, not almost, like all the athletes here after school, they quit and they look for jobs, and that's how everyone else is living their life. So yeah, I was going to do the same thing, and then that was when the support thing came in. I was like, oh yeah, if I get the support, then why not? I'm going to continue doing the track, because I love the sport. And then I think my last year was going quite well, even though we have ups and downs in sports. So yeah, I remember talking to the GA president, Mr. Bauer, and then he also said, no, don't stop and stuff like that. You're going to get the support, blah blah blah. So I was like, okay. So you know how it is when you're being promised, kind of, So imagine me telling you that, hey, I'm hungry again, and you promised to give me food. I had my hope in you, thinking that, oh, let me just relax, because you're going to get me food. Because at this point, there's nothing I can do. I can't work and then be competing at the same time, because this doing track is like a full-time thing, So I wouldn't be able to, be competing. It would be professionally and then be working at the same time. So that was the reason why I was interested in this whole support thing. So fast forward to after school, I went to the World Champs. So it was at the World Champs that I got injured. I didn't have no injury after school, because before
the one in Budapest.
I think it's the thing started at World Champs in Eugene.
In Eugene, okay.
Yeah, because after school, the school will make sure that if we want to know if you have injuries, and they will want to treat it before, before you're done. So they give you like a forms to fill out, like if you have injuries or stuff like that, and they'll take care of it, and then they're done with you. But I had no injuries. It was at Eugene that I got injured. My Achilles started. So yeah, so that's been it. I've been battling it, and I remember. So right after Eugene was the Commonwealth Games. I think it was a month after, right? I think the Commonwealth Games was a month after.
So the World Champs was in June, July, and the Commonwealth Games was in August.
Oh yes, okay. So yeah, so I came back and I still wasn't seeing the trainer, because our trainers doesn't allow us to see them. Like once you're done with school, we don't get the chance to see them again. You can only train here, but you can't, you can't get treatment from them. So I was just here doing my own thing. Sometimes I even tend to massage myself. I won't lie to you, I do it. And the only thing I could do was to buy a massage gun and then, be using it. So talking about this whole thing, going to the Commonwealth Games, it got to a point where I even thought I wasn't going to go. So I even stopped training. I stopped training for like a week, thinking that I wasn't going to get the visa to go. So I was just there, and then because it was delaying. So God being so good, I got the visa, and then at that moment, they bought the ticket for me to go. I got delayed, layovers and stuff like that. But finally, I got to the Commonwealth Games. I was still injured. And I can promise you, I was on the plane and I was massaging myself and then doing some, rolling, balls on my feet and stuff like that. Just to, it was kind of to help my own self, because at that moment I had nobody, So I was doing all that. I got there and I remember Madame Salah would be my witness and Abigail Quatin was also there. I was struggling. I think the qualifying, I was the first jumper. So my first jump, I made I think I was the first person to qualify, so I left to relax my leg and stuff like that. So after I went to get a massage, to get treatment, it was just a massage kind of thing. So, and then I got to rest it the next day. And then on the final day, how our adrenaline went, during the main competition. Because it was at the main competition where I was like, okay, at this point I have to put everything that I have, to pour that in the competition. So all you have to do, forget about the pain and then go for it. So doing it, I remember even during my approaches, it was hurting. So I remember telling Madame Salah, hey, this is how I'm feeling the pain. And then she was like, so what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm here. I have to do it. So I qualified, and then I'm at a stage where I can come like top 3. So then, like, why not? I won't stop. I will do it. And then that was the last competition of the year, my last competition of the year. So I was going to pour everything I have in the competition. So my first jump was a 694. So after that 694, I remember Madame Salah telling me to stop because she thinks that a 694 can, do magic. So then I was like, I don't know, but I won't stop. I came all the way here to do this. So this being my last competition of the year, I'll continue to do it and then maybe get treatment after, because if I have from August, I have September, October, November, December. So then, I'll probably get help, before the next season. So I didn't quit. I did the whole 6 jumps because, one thing about the jumps is if anybody, any of the athletes also got to jump the 694, then they'll use the next jump, to determine who wins or who is, in front of who and stuff like that. So then I was like, that is the main reason why I decided not to quit, but then do the whole 6 jumps. This was for me, but then I was doing it for the country as well. I had to kill myself to do all this. So I did, and then I remember after I was supposed to go get the medal, I think that was when the first time I met Mr. The GOC.
Benjamin Mensah.
Yes, that was the first time I met him. I heard the name before, but then I not met him in person. So that was the first time I met him in person. So we talked about like what I'm going through and stuff like that, So I remember he told me that, if this is what I'm going through, then after the games we can go to Ghana, because I was supposed to go from Birmingham back to the US. Okay. So they had to, change my ticket to go to Ghana and then back to the US. So I can get treatment, there's some form of treatment, and if not, then they'll probably find something for me to, come back and then get the treatment myself. You understand? So that was the whole thing. That was what happened. So I was so shocked when they said like he didn't promise me or something like that. Cause like I would lie on, a great man like that. So that was what happened. So
he let us.
I went to Ghana.
He never promised you anything.
So he promised that. Okay, so that the whole thing was to take me home to get treatment. And if I don't get to get a treatment, then they'll find something, I would say money or whatever, for me to come here and get the treatment here in the US. Right. So then we all know what that meant. So we went to Ghana. I didn't hear from them. I think we were supposed to even go to see the president. We didn't get to see the president. I was supposed to even go back home, but because of the back and forth, not knowing when we were going to see the president, I think I only went home to spend, I think, a day with my dad and then back to Accra and then left. So that was what happened. And then I came back. I didn't hear from them again until the next year. I qualified for the World Championship, so then I had to continue training. So the whole thing of my training, I got to a point where I'll train today and I'll be out for like the next 3-4 days. And then the pain will go down a little bit, and then I'll start the training again, and then I'll be out for like 2 or 3 days, and then train again, then be out. Like, it was just back and forth like that. So I qualified for the the world champs anyway. So that was like, okay, at this point, I'm still gonna go, and I'm not getting the support that I needed. So I have to do something to help myself. So what I decided to do was that was when I did the scan, and then it showed that, hey, this is what is wrong with your Achilles. So I remember I started paying, I changed my phone, like I would have sent a screenshot of what I used to pay, which was $55 every session. And I was doing it 3 times a week. So imagine doing it 3 times a week. I did it for a month, and then I was like, I'm not working anyway, so how am I going to do this? So then I had to stop. So I stopped, and then I started seeing this trainer that I used to see at World Champs in Eugene. So I used to see that guy, and then he was charging me $35. So I was like, okay, this is good, at least, But then again, I did it for a while, and then the same old thing, resources, like money, I couldn't do it. So it got to a point where he was like, okay, you pay me $100, and then I'll treat you for, I think, 3 weeks or so. I still had a long way to go, like all the way to, I think the World Champs was in August, right? Maybe July or August. So I still had a long way to go. So how long am I going to continue doing this? I was paying my own rent, like, car, insurance and stuff like that. So then how am I going to do this on my own? So then I stopped going to this man, and I started doing the exercises that I used to do with him. So I started doing it on my own. You understand? So that was how I was helping myself at that point. So yeah, so back to the injury. So it was just back and forth. Like, it was going down a little bit. But whenever I do something intense, that is when, the pain hit. So then we went to the World Champs. Like I said, the pain was still there. I still had to do what I had to do, and it didn't go well. So yeah, that is it. That is the whole thing. That is my story.
I still want to take here. As at this time, you mentioned that you spoke to Bauer. He was the chief executive officer of Ghana Athletics. He became president just last year, prior to the World Champs in Budapest. But one thing I want to understand is, when he spoke to you and asked you not to quit, what were some of the things he said Ghana Athletics would do for you so that you would be able to take care of yourself and not quit the sport to look for something to do to take care of yourself? What were some of the things he put on the table for you?
I won't lie. He didn't specify what they were going to do. Like, he didn't really say that, hey, we're going to do this. But then it was, just mentioning the support. But I won't lie. He didn't really say, like, what kind of support I was going to get. But then again, I also knew that this whole year we're going to be getting the Olympic solidarity thing.
Not also ask what is the alternative for you.
Okay, so another thing was, I think after the Commonwealth Games, after they won the 694, I even got a manager who decided to manage me, and we were even thinking that we're going to get contract and stuff like that. But then I remember I had a agent who said I think the sponsors wanted me to repeat the jump. So that was another reason why I kept pushing. I tried last year to see if I was going to be able to repeat the jump so I can maybe get a contract and stuff like that. But then it didn't work out. So I wasn't solely, focusing on them to give me the help. I was also doing something, to support myself, but it just didn't work.
No, I get that. But if Ghana Athletics comes to tell you that, Debbie, don't quit, keep on going, then you need to ask them, you need to get understanding, you need to get some level of assurance that if I don't quit, then this is the alternative for me. Didn't you ask for that from Ghana Athletics?
That's what I'm saying, that so if I tell you that I'm hungry and you tell me that you're going to give me food, then it doesn't matter what food you give me. I'll eat, because at that moment I'm so hungry. So all I need is food, So you telling me you're gonna give me food you know, I'll put all my trust in you thinking that you're going to give me food. So it doesn't matter what food you're going to give. So that was the whole thing. So all I knew was I'm going to get support. So, you know, this whole support thing was going to be money, you know, like let's not, you know, beat around the bush. It was going to be money. So I didn't know what other support I was going to get from them. So I think that's why I didn't even bother asking.
So when you got injured in Eugene, did you tell Ghana Athletics that you were injured?
Oh, yeah, they knew.
So they knew that...
I didn't have to tell them they knew. Because, you know, I was seeing the trainers back and forth even before the jump. So I remember I will send you a picture where I went with my coach. I used my own money to buy some, you know, some medicine, some medications to, you know, put on my leg. I got one that had to numb the pain so I could jump at the World Champs. I even had to use the same medication to numb my leg to jump at the World Championship last year. So, like I said, like I'm doing something to help myself. Like when I feel like, hey, I have to do this, and I do it. But it just wasn't going the way I wanted it to.
So when the Ghana Olympic Committee, its president, Benjamin Mensah, also told you that let's change your ticket and bring you to Ghana. They changed your ticket, brought you to Ghana. You didn't hear from them. Did you get in touch?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I remember, so I don't like pushing people, right? So if you decide to help me, I can be, you know, we can be talking, and then, you know, maybe once in a while I'll say something about it. And no, but no, I won't push you, you know, because I think it's your job. Like that's what you're doing. You're, you know, in this sports industry. So if you say that you're gonna do this for this person, then I would say it's your responsibility to help me, though. But then if you've decided to do it for me, then whenever we're talking, you know that, hey, this is the brother that I'm talking to. And then this is the same person that I promised to do something for. You understand? So we had a long way to go. So I wasn't going to be on your neck that, hey, you promised to do this for me, so why haven't you done it? You know, stuff like that. So I was just waiting on them, like, you know, on their own times to do what they are willing to help me with. So that was it.
In 2022, an estimated volume of 3.2 million metric tons of manganese was produced in Ghana. This stood against the 5.4 million metric tons produced in 2019, which was the highest since 2009. Government and the Chamber of Mines in 2023 managed to chalk significant successes together, and that 2024 presents an opportunity to escalate and enhance joint efforts aimed at creating the environment necessary for the smooth and productive operations of large-scale mining companies. Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Gyinapo, assured that the ministry will raise the funds necessary for the complete restoration of those aircraft to enable them to contribute to the fight against illegal mining.
In terms of value addition generally, we are working around the clock to secure a London Bullion Marketing Association certification for our refineries established here in Ghana. We are also working with the Ghana Manganese Company to establish a refinery for the manganese we produce here in Ghana. We were in China last year, as you may be aware, and we've negotiated with the parent company of Ghana Manganese Company, TMI, for them to invest some $400 million United States dollars in constructing a refinery in our country and ultimately ensure that we no longer export our manganese in their raw form. And indeed, we also continue to work on local content and local participation through a periodic review of the procurement list in consultation with the Ghana Chamber of Mines and as well as our quest to ensure that Ghanaian mining companies list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And we take the view that it is only through the listing of mining operations or companies on the Ghana Stock Exchange that we can create here in our country indigenous participation in the mining industry of our country, which will ensure that whatever prosperity or profits arise out of this industry is shared and participated in by Ghanaians. And so we are working with the Ghana Chamber of Mines to have a situation where mining companies list on the Ghana Stock Exchange. That is how it was done in South Africa. That's how it's been done in China. That's how it's been done in Australia and Canada and the rest. These countries insist on the listing of mining companies on their various or respective national stock exchanges. And we want to do same here. But we want to do that in close collaboration with the Ghana Chamber of Mines so we don't disturb the investment climate in our country.
On gold production, the Ghana Chamber of Mines expects gold production in 2024 to exceed 4.5 million ounces of gold. According to the chamber, despite the nation's economic challenges, the mining sector saw some expansion in 2023.
Outlook of the mineral sector in 2024. In 2024, the output of the chamber's producing member companies is projected to increase to 3.5 million ounces, mainly due to fresh production coming from Cardinal's Namdini gold mine. The additional output from the mine, which is earmarked for the fourth quarter of 2024, will partially compensate for the anticipated decline in output of Newmont's Achim mine and Goldfields Diamond mine. The latter mines are approaching their end of life. With a projected output range of 1.1 million ounces to 1.3 million ounces in 2024 from the small-scale sector, the national gold output expected to exceed 4.5 million ounces in 2024. Regarding manganese production, the planned output for 2024 is expected to double to 5 million tons. So really good projections for the year 2024 for us.
The small-scale mining companies are expected to produce between 1.1 million and 1.3 million ounces of gold in 2024, whilst the large-scale gold mining firms would produce 3.4 million ounces.
The main downside risk, however, is to the overall mining production outlook in 2024 includes the high fiscal and regulatory costs, encroachment of concessions by illegal miners, and sometimes we're not being too sure about policy with respect to implementation of, say, the Gold for Oil program and the impacts on its operations on small-scale miners. I'll go a bit more into details on that. The economic contribution of the mining sector in 2023. Despite the challenges that I've talked about, the mining sector continues to be the backbone of Ghana's economy. Impact on gross domestic product. On the back of the high turnover in mineral production, the mining sector's value added to the economy increased from 9.3 billion cedis as of the end of the third quarter of 2022 to 13.8 billion cedis as of the end of the third quarter of 2023. In terms of its contribution to gross domestic product, the share of mining in GDP improved marginally from 6.5% at the end of the third quarter of 2022 to 7% in the equivalent period in 2023.
The Ghana Chamber of Mines expects manganese production in 2024 to exceed 5 million tons.
Regarding manganese production, the planned output for 2024 is expected to double to 5 million tons. So really good projections for the year 2024 for us. The main downside risk, however, is to the overall mining production outlook in 2024 includes the high fiscal and regulatory costs, encroachment of concessions by illegal miners, and sometimes we're not being too sure about policy with respect to implementation of, say, the Gold for Oil program and the impacts on its operations on small-scale miners. I'll go a bit more into details on that. The economic contribution of the mining sector in 2023. Despite the challenges that I've talked about, the mining sector continues to be the backbone of Ghana's economy. Impact on gross domestic product. On the back of the high turnover in mineral production, the mining sector's value added to the economy increased from 9.3 billion cedis as of the end of the third quarter of 2022 to 13.8 billion cedis as of the end of the third quarter of 2023. In terms of its contribution to gross domestic product, the share of mining in GDP improved marginally from 6.5% at the end of the third quarter of 2022 to 7% in the equivalent period in 2023.
According to the chamber, this will mark one of the biggest production in 3 years, solidifying the country's position as one of the largest producers on the African continent.
Thank you for staying. My name is Benjamin Akakbo. Thank you for staying with me as I serve you my blunt thoughts this morning. And I've titled it, Blowing Cash in a Desperately Stifling Economy. The Elite versus the Ordinary Man. Blowing cash in a desperately stifling economy. The elite versus the ordinary man. Or if you like, the Kofi broke man. Yeah. So this morning, there's a lot to digest. I'm going to be talking about 3 crucial issues and how those with money are getting more money and those down there are getting even worse off. Just this morning when I had that interaction with political scientist Dr. Richard Amwakoba, himself a doyen, a stalwart of the MPP who now feels things have gone out of shape. He said something. I hope we don't get there, and I am assuming we just might not get there. But he said, famine is coming. Hunger is coming. What is the cost of plantain? What is the cost of cassava? In the midst of all of that, we are in the grips of an IMF-supported program, right? But it would interest you to know that when you pick the top 10 countries that owe the most credit to the IMF, the most indebtedness to the IMF, there are 5 African countries in the top 10, though that top 10 list is led by Argentina. But there are 5 African countries in there. And if you look at how much is owed, and you make the comparisons, bigger countries compared to Ghana. You look at Egypt, highest in Africa. Then you go to Angola. Then you go to Kenya. And then Ghana is 4th on that list. Not in terms of the top 10 ranking, but in terms of our indebtedness from the African perspective. And then you add Cote d'Ivoire. We are not, to quote the words of President Akufo-Addo back then, in normal times. We are not. But are we acting it out? Are we showing that we are not in normal times? The ordinary man is suffering. And yet, come with me, some people are chilling. So, you look at the Bank of Ghana, and recently we've had cause to focus our microscopes, our lenses on them. Why? For a number of years, there has been something interesting going on. In 2016, the number of staff, 1,921. In 2022, it had shot up to 2,215. Not too much to talk about. But the devil is in the detail. Next slide. Now, if you look at the cost of the personnel between 2017 and 2022, in Yanum, we're looking at 6 billion Ghana cedis. Do you know what that means? That means if you're going to use a dollar pegged at even 10 cedis. I know it is 15 and inching further now. You'd be looking at what? just about how much? 600 million or $60 million, thereabouts. It's crazy. But let's go to the next slide because there could be justification, right? Let's find out from the chart. Incrementally, if you look at data from the Bank of Ghana itself, in 2017, we were spending 596.2 million on personnel in terms of the cost trend. It shot up by about 100 million in 2018, 697. In 2019, it went even further, 808, 2020, 1 billion. And since then, we've never looked back. If you look at the difference, 596, so let's round it off at 600 million to 1.6 billion. It means we've added north of 1 billion Ghana cedis in terms of the perks, the benefits that the personnel get. The same staff, by the way, that led us into that 60 billion Ghana cedi hole that we find ourselves in currently, out of which we're all suffering the brunt of it because it also feeds into the IMF program. But let's go to our next slide. Then you look at the breakdown, and this is where you begin to see certain patterns because the total staff, 2,203. Now, if you look at the Bank of England, and that's the comparative, it makes for stark reading. The total staff at the Bank of Ghana are 2,203 per the figures we're using, and that is 2022. At the Bank of England, they had more than twice that number, 4,675. By the way, developing country, developed country. I've always had a problem with those terms because sometimes no country ceases development. But yes, these are economic terms and we use them. But if you look at the staff costs, you're looking at 1.62 billion Ghana cedis for staff, personnel of the Bank of Ghana. And if you're looking at the Bank of England, it is 448 million pounds. But that's not where the devil is. When you look at the cost per employee, that is where certain things begin to look stark. 735,360 Ghana cedis on average for the staff at the Bank of Ghana per staff. Almost what? 300,000 shy of 1 million Ghana cedis. How long will it take you to earn that? At the Bank of England, 95,829 pounds, almost 100,000 pounds. If you did the comparative, right, 95,000 pounds, even if you're multiplying by 17, how much would that give you? If it's 100, let's say if it's 100, that will be 1.7 million. That means just about over 2 times, and that's what you get here. The times of GDP per capita, though, when it comes to the Bank of Ghana, let's start with the Bank of England. In terms of the GDP per capita, you know what that means, right? They are earning a mere 2.6 times more than the average person would in England. 2.6 times. About 3 times. Let's even peg it at that. Makes sense, right? In our case, how many more times our GDP per capita? What even the average person would earn? 38 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 38 times. This is not to denigrate the work of the central bank or the people who work there. I know people there. I have friends there. But the question is, are these justifiable? Especially in our economic situation. And if a clutch of people can get so much and the rest of people live in penury, that is where you begin to think about what Dr. Richard Amwakoba said, that there could be famine and there could be hunger. Can you afford the plantain, the cassava on the market now, the rice, the beans? So some people are living well, others not so much. Just situating the conversation. But from there, let's move on. Next slide. There's also the bit about tourists because companies have upped and left Ghana. We're talking about the cost of living, the elite versus the ordinary man. But let's situate the conversation as well in the perspective of tourism, right? In the year 2022, the number of tourists visiting Ghana totaled 825,000. Thankfully, by 2023, we're looking at 1.1 million, almost an increment of about 300,000. Great, right? But let's go to the next slide. When you look at the trend, then you begin asking, but what are some of the motivations for tourists? Cost is one of them, but where do we find ourselves? If you look at some recent statistics, and I'm talking about the 2023 Ghana Tourism Report, those who have come to Ghana and said, Ghana is expensive. I have tourists come. I've had people come from different parts, US, UK, and they say, hey, how do you guys survive in Ghana? The place is expensive. 7.85% say Ghana is very expensive. Those who say it is expensive, 36.13%. Some Nigerians come here. And in fact, last year I was in Lagos. Trust me, what I could do with how many thousand naira, I can't do maybe half of that in Ghana. I was in Lome at some point last year. You look at the cost of living, compare it to us, and indeed we are expensive. Those who said it was less expensive, 15%. Of course, from some jurisdictions outside the continent of Africa, it may be cool, even in Africa, in some jurisdictions. But those who said it was not expensive, 18%. Next slide. If you look at the breakdown, Nigerians, Ghanaians, British, and Americans, red represents expensive, yellow, normal, the gray, less expensive, and green, not expensive. So it's green you're looking for, right? But if you look at the metrics, you would find that Nigerians, how many are saying Ghana is not expensive? 5.56%. Ghanaians, how many are saying Ghana is not expensive? 9.09%. You could even say that is the elite, or maybe the middle class in there. British, 8.89% are saying Ghana is not expensive. That should tell you something. America, 8.42%. You look at these metrics, even if you sum them up, 8, so let's say 9, 9, 18, plus another 9, 27, plus even 6. That'll give you 33. Only 33% are saying, it tells you that a chunk of people are feeling the bite. Those who say Ghana is expensive, 27 plus percent Nigerians, 72 plus percent Ghanaians, 48 plus percent British, 35 plus percent Americans. And then those in the middle belts, you have 50% normal and all of that, and then the gray areas. That paints a picture for you. It tells you about the stark economic conditions. K.T. Hammond, the trade minister, is now saying, oh, cement producers should reduce the prices. And they have rebuffed that. Why? What is the cost of producing cement? No one wants cement prices to go up. If they go up, construction costs go up. If you're going to purchase, it goes up. If you are putting up something, it goes up. But what are the production costs? Are we looking at that? Or just telling them, I mean, if I produce something at 3 cedis and I'm selling it for 3 cedis, 20 pesos, and you tell me to reduce it, is there any logic in that? Next slide. But then, finally, the last thing, I'm looking at cost over the table, if you like. So I've looked at the Bank of Ghana and earnings of staff. I've looked at tourism and how people feel Ghana is expensive. But let's wrap with the Ghana Publishers Association, because this is crucial. It's about the textbooks, yes, but it's also about producing some of the books that we want to read so that we become more enlightened and we become more of a reading nation. That's why I have a book show that, I would proffer for you when it starts, but I digress. How long has government owed the Ghana Publishers Association? 2.5 years. Now, which businessman, after being owed for 2.5 years, with the current economic situation where there are fluctuations, depreciation of the currency, some are forecasting that it could slip to about 20 cedis or 18 cedis to the dollar by close of year. Which businessman, after being owed for a period like this, you would have run into losses? If you took a loan to do this, your debtors will be knocking on your door. Some people may have ended up, having to do all sorts of things. Some people may have died. Some people may have committed suicide on the back of this. You owe someone for 2.5 years. And I'm not talking small money, big money. Next slide. How much is owed? 320 million Ghana cedis. And if we may look at I believe the last and final bit there, you would see that there are 2 more bits to look at. In terms of the increment in book prices, here are the justifications. The Ghana Publishers Association says, we have no option but to increase the prices of books. Starting from June, prices will go up between 30 and 40%, and I've spoken to the president on this show. We therefore seek the understanding of Ghanaians as we have to protect our businesses from collapse. No one does business to lose. Even state institutions, you try to break even or make a little profit so you can keep things running. How about the businessman? And when we do this, what do we do to the publishing business in Ghana? Already, China and other countries have taken over the market. What are we doing to the local businesses, the few left? Next slide. Then, which is where I believe I'll be ending, for the ministry to proceed to commission a publisher to develop textbooks for the Common Core program when books it ordered on credit 2.5 years ago have not been paid. That is 320 million Ghana cedis. What sense is there in that? So, Indianum, the situation is dire. I was joking this morning, but it appears in this country everybody has his or her truth. I'm an old vandal, and our motto is truth stands. Truth stands. Some of you may not like what I say. I don't begrudge you, honestly. I have a very thick skin, and I can take your thoughts and, I'm okay with them. I just don't believe what you do. And I will not see what is black and say it's white, or vice versa. I will say it as it is. I said that back then, I will say it now. Abana yede boy inchino. And noan yede baba. The truth is one. We don't have different truths. It is only one. And without truth, believe you me, we'll make no headway in this country. Because where there's no truth, there's also chaos. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. Love me, hate me, it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and stay with us for the rest of our programming.
When I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me de me cry about for it. Me hear the me to me. Emre swan. Eko. When I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me de me cry about for it. Me hear the me to me. Emre swan. Eko.
Welcome back on the AM show. Some say Wahala never did finish for this country. We've heard the Special Prosecutor, Kissi Agyabeng, say that, listen, he's basically offering himself like a libation, pouring out of himself, and that when he starts something, he does his best at it. But we were taken by surprise yesterday when we heard that there was a petition to remove the Special Prosecutor and the person behind it. Yes, forwarded by the president to the Chief Justice, but the person behind it, that was what got tongues wagging. Martin Burns Kaiser Amidu. Alamisi Amidu was the person who had put this petition together. The question is, why? What is in there? Well, joining me in the studio, Kweku Asante. He's our man on the beat. He's been following this matter. He joins me in the studio. Kweku, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Kweku is in the studio. We also have Bobby Banson. He's a lawyer. He joins the conversation. And we also have Edem Sinanu, an anti-graft campaigner, joining the conversation. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Bobby, can I hear from you, please?
Good morning, Ben. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Mr. Sinanu, I guess when my show is done today, I'll give you a buzz. There's something interesting to share with you later on. But thank you for connecting. Let's situate the conversation from the studio, gentlemen. Just hold for me. What exactly is happening? How did this even come about?
Well, so we understand Martin Alemisu Ben Skies Amidu, the former special prosecutor, filed a petition dated April 30, 2024, directed at the President Akufo-Addo to remove Kissi Agyabeng as special prosecutor. And it's on several grounds. We'll get into that. And we also now understand that the President, by a cover letter dated May 6, 2024, has forwarded this petition to the Chief Justice. Obviously, that is what the Constitution dictates when you're removing someone whose term of office and whose status of office is analogous to that of a Court of Appeal judge. So that process would have to unravel itself. And so by that May 6 letter, the Chief Justice is expected to determine whether there is a prima facie case, whether on the face of the petition there is something for the special committee that would normally probe this to look into. So Martin Amidu, I should say, is mainly alleging procurement breaches. He says that in the purchase of some vehicles for the special prosecutor, there were certain procurement breaches. And procurement breaches has been one of the reasons why Madame Charlotte, for instance,
I was just about to say,
removed. And so it has been cited by Mr. Martin Amidu as part of the reasons why he believes Kissi Agyabeng has breached his oath of office, or as it were, is no longer qualified to remain in office as special prosecutor. He's also alleging abuse involving judges and administration of justice. We know in that insert that you played of Kissi Agyabeng was talking about how concerned he was about the way judges were actually hearing his cases that he has filed in court. And so he came out gun blazing that he believed that certain judges may be aiding the cause of injustice. And so he spoke about that. It has been cited in this petition as has been filed by Martin Amidu that conduct of Kissi Agyabeng is not worthy of the office and he must be removed as part of that. He also alleged violations of citizens' rights through arrest and detentions, violations of the rights to information and improper appointments to personnel of the office. So these are the last grounds we'll discuss. He talks about the arrest of people like Madame Cecilia Dapada. He believes the mode in which Kissi Agyabeng and his office went about it is not worthy of the office. He talks about that. He believes that is good reason for Kissi Agyabeng to be removed. And the violation of RTR request, information request. Kissi Agyabeng, according to Martin Amidu, has refused to produce certain information about how the office is being run and the appointments, particularly of personnel. We know that Martin Amidu has been writing a lot, alleging that a special prosecutor has been appointing friends and families to the office. Talks about Sami, what's the name? The head of communications at the office of the special prosecutor, Sami Dako. Talks about how the appointment process were all undertaken. And so Martin Amidu boxed all this, and then by his April 30 petition to the president, is now asking the president to get the Chief Justice to constitute that committee, a special committee to look into this, and then make a determination that Kissi Agyabeng is not fit for office, that appointment must be revoked.
This makes for interesting reading because I'm even looking at the executive generally and some of the things that have been mentioned here. And just not out of mischief, but playing devil's advocate. Procurement breaches? The executive itself, if you look at violation of citizens' rights, appointments, let's not even go there. Some of them are interesting bits, but let's have an interaction with the legal luminaries and also the anti-graft campaigners. Let me start with you, Bobby Banson. We now know, per the information we have gathered, that in fact this has been submitted to the Chief Justice as required by Article 146 of the Constitution, and that the Chief Justice is in the process of deciding whether there is a prima facie case on this matter. Your basic understanding, your take on this matter?
Ben, Good morning once again to you and your viewers. Tag of legal luminary, you want to set me up this morning?
I'm not setting you up. I'm giving you that title myself. You may not be able to blow your own trumpet. I'm blowing it for you.
Well, I mean, woke up and heard this story and I was quite shocked, of all the things that one would have expected to have happened, especially at this time of our political and democratic dispensation, would have been an attempt to remove, the attempt itself, the thoughts to remove a head of such an institution.
And the fact that it is the former occupant of that office that is attempting to do that.
Who has not hidden his personal issues. I didn't want to use the word hatred. Personal issues with the one who took over his office. I recall in some of his most recent epistles where he had stated categorically that he wants the president to intervene. Mind you, the president that this same person had once described as the mother serpent of all corruption. He now seems to be interested in the fact that he thinks the president this time would, do what he wants to be done. But we back to the procedure, as had been said. Even the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act states categorically how he should be removed. The grounds of his removal have been stated there very categorically. The grounds of incompetence. If you look at, I think it's section 15, if you've done anything that will bring the Office of the Special Prosecutor into disrepute.
Right.
And things like that. And if I hear the grounds that I have not seen the petition, but from what your colleague read in the studio,
so we are looking at procurement breaches, and that's why we even brought in the case of Charlotte Osei, because those were used to get her out. The purchase of vehicles for the OSP and not following the right procedures, the OSP versus judges and the perceived rancor. There's the administration of justice, aka in the cases of the likes of the former customs is a SEPS person, the likes of Sister Diadapa and how it's been addressed, then arrest and detentions and giving out information, RTI, among others. Those are the bits encapsulated in what Martin Amidu is saying.
Well, if you listen to what you have said carefully, it brings to mind whether or not, one, the fact that the OSP, for instance, goes to court and he loses, does it mean that he's exhibited gross incompetence? I mean, it's not every prosecution that is done by the Attorney General that he wins. Does it mean that he's been incompetent? It's not every lawyer that goes to court that wins. Does it mean that the lawyer is incompetent? I do not think that is the intention of the framers of that particular provision. But it's a process that we must all respect. It is his right, Mr. Amidu, to petition. The president referring the petition to the Chief Justice is in discharge of the obligation or the duty of the president when he receives the petition. Now, the Chief Justice is the one that must decide whether there's a prima facie case. And so a lot of attention will be on the Chief Justice's office, whether on the face of the petition that has been received. I expect that the Chief Justice may, even though the law does not require her to, may even ask Mr. Agyabeng to give a primary or a preliminary response before she makes a determination whether there's a prima facie case. The prima facie case definition is not that you have concluded, but on the face of it, there's a case to answer. And so if the Chief Justice, I'm sure that Mr. Amidu must have attached evidence of these so-called grounds for removal to enable the Chief Justice to make a prima facie case. So the mere mention of those things in the petition without, for example, if you say that there has been procurement breaches, I expect that he must be detailed with the evidence. Remember, there's a public procurement authority where, per their law, if there are procurement breaches, you must have gone through that process and that procedure as well. And so it is not the office of the Chief Justice that will determine whether there has been a procurement breach before. So it's only a prima facie thing that the Chief Justice will do based on the evidence that has been attached, so that the burden of proof will shift on the special prosecutor.
Hello, Bobby?
And so,
okay.
Hello, Ben.
Yes, I lost you for about 2 seconds, but it's fine. You can go ahead.
Okay, Ben. So I hope that indeed Mr. Amidu attached evidence to every single allegation to enable the Chief Justice come to that conclusion that there is a case for Mr. Agyabeng to answer. If it was mere, like we see in his epistles, what he writes without attaching evidence that will shift the burden of Mr. Agyabeng, perhaps the Chief Justice will come to the conclusion that there is no prima facie case to determine, and then we will take it from there. But moving from that, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is an institution that Ghana, by virtue of international treaties we have signed, is obliged to have. So it is not as if it was a mere campaign promise. It was an international obligation by virtue of a treaty we had signed to have. And so if we are treating this office, for lack of a better way, like Chaskele, everybody can throw shades by virtue of the personality occupying it. We are undermining the institution that we are creating to fight our biggest problem as a country. Our biggest problem as a country is corruption. Nobody would dispute that. If we save half of the money that we lose to corruption, we will not go to IMF. And so if one of the most independent institutions that we've established in line with international obligations and by virtue of our own statutory provisions, we keep addressing the personalities of those institutions and not the institution itself, building strong institutions like Mr. Ex-President Obama said, whoever takes that office will also be, we'll look at that person in a certain way. Because it is as if somebody is there, we don't like what the person is doing, then we want to remove that person. I was not happy with the way and manner Ms. Charlotte Osei was removed. And if there's an attempt, and the same with Dom Levo, if there's an attempt to harass Mr. Agyabeng because perhaps some people are not happy with the way he's going about his work, I think that it would defeat this whole fight against corruption, and then posterity will not forgive us. We should be very mindful of some of our actions, and I'm very confident in the capacity and ability of the Chief Justice to make a determination. I have not seen the evidence. I hope there is for a prima facie case, but if it is what you have said without any evidence attached, the mere epistle, for lack of a better word, I do not see how a prima facie case would be established from there.
Well, interesting, isn't it? I mean, the presidency was pretty quick with this one. I mean, we're still battling the LGBT bill and all of that. But in this instance, as directed by law, because again, if you were to go back to the LGBT conundrum, he should have either signed or declared that he wouldn't assent. But we know how that has turned out. In this instance, it has been forwarded. But let me go to Edem Senano briefly on the same point. Edem, did this take you aback? Were you left in shock when you heard that this petition had been sent to the president, forwarded to the Chief Justice, and by none other than the former Special Prosecutor, Martin Amidu? How did you take the news?
Well, good morning. And yes, I was thoroughly taken aback. I mean, it seems to me that from day one, my good friend, and I like to call him Martin Ben Kaiser Amidu, appeared to have been on a vendetta. It looked like nobody should occupy that office who is able to do much more or shine more than me, And so there have been all these epistles and comments. And for me, to the credit of the current office holder, Mr. Kissi Agyabeng, he's refused to jump into that public discourse of blow for blow kind of, when Martin says this and so on and so forth. And that's really disappointing. Very disappointing for me. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned also because of the inconsistencies. And Bobby pointed out to it. I mean, you can't call the president and the presidency the mother serpent of all corruption in one breath, and in the next breath be writing to the same institutions and saying somebody else should be removed, and believing and apparently trusting those same institutions.
Right.
It's kind of flip-flopping, leaves us with the impression that you can change your stand at any time on issues. And so it's a big concern for me. Also because, like you pointed out, the last person you're expecting to be out there consistently just raising voices, when, in my view, he did not do as much as he ought to have done when he was in that position. And he actually sent us to the dry cleaners by exiting all of a sudden to the point where you had authority you could have exercised. And yet you come back and you seem to be attacking the current office holder. Some of the things you've mentioned, like speaking against the judges, I find incredulous. I mean, if office holders as high up as the OSP cannot speak their minds when they think something is going wrong. And for me, I thought that was important because the judiciary responded. The Chief Justice then reached out and said, let's have discussions. And from where I stand, one of the key things that has been on my mind is how do agencies like the OSP and the anti-corruption agencies work with the judiciary to have fast-track anti-corruption courts with personnel trained, specialized personnel who understand our terrain.
And that was you can forecast that was his intention. In fact, if you follow the rhetoric, that was his intention. But hold for me, Adam, just briefly. Hold for me. Let me bring in Daniel Yao Domelevo. He has been there and done that. He joins the conversation. Mr. Domelevo, thank you for joining the conversation on the AM show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, it appears to be a script that is playing out again, but I believe Martin Amidu is a friend of yours, and your friend is taking on the new occupant of his office. But let's start off with whether this was some sort of shock, it had any shock value for you, and then what it means, because you've gone through a similar process and been ousted from an institution of state. Your take.
Thank you very much. I must say yes and no. Yes, because if you remember, I've stated time and again that once you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back using any means available. So that is not a surprise to me at all. But where it is coming from...
Wait, Mr. Domelevo, so you feel in this instance where Martin Amidu, former special prosecutor, petitions the president forwards it to Chief Justice, are you telling me that you feel it is corruption fighting back against institutions? Is that what is happening?
You have no idea how corruption fights. Corruption is not going to fight using corrupt methods. It's going to pretend and use what looks like very genuine reasons. And I always say that there is a story behind the story. So the story behind the story is difficult for all of us to know. But what I'm just trying to say is that to me, once you are in the public domain fighting people, others may also look for opportunity to fight you back. That's the point I'm making. And that is to me not a surprise. But where it's coming from is what surprises me, because Martin is my very good friend, and we have different values anyway. I will not participate in any form or shape in the removal of my successor from office. In fact, in his case, even I can say that he resigned. I don't think Kissi Agyabeng played any role in it. I suspect the one who succeeded me had a role to play in my removal, but I will not play any role as such. So, but the fact
so do you find it odd that the person petitioning is Martin Amidu? Do you find it odd? Do you feel even if this were to come up, it shouldn't be Martin Amidu?
Yes, at times some things you can do it, but you leave it to other people to do it, because like Sinano is alluding to, it looks like because he's outshining him, so you want to remove him out of office, which to me, I will not allow such a situation to arise before people will even impute those intentions into my action.
Let me ask you this. We saw some happenings in respect of procurement breaches that were used to oust Charlotte Osei. Then your case. Now, the current special prosecutor, is there a line that can be drawn through all of these? Because all of these have also happened within these last 7 years. Is there a pattern? What are we doing wrong?
The pattern is that they use procurement offenses only when it's used there. Are we not? Didn't we hear of procurement offenses about the EC, the current EC, and several others, even the presidency itself? And how do they treat them? They are treated with kids' gloves. It's only when you are on the other side, you are not like, then they activate the procurement offense against you. So I know that nobody is above the law and everybody is supposed to go according to the law. But then the selectivity in using this procurement law is becoming one too many for my liking. Several huge procurement offenses are known and to all of us and are not being addressed, but they pick on individuals who they think they should pick on, and they talk about procurement offenses. I'm not saying that justifies the procurement offense if there is any, but I think well, let's see how it pans out. I have not seen the details of the petition. I've only heard of the petition, so it's very difficult for me to go into the merits of the cases. I am very sure that the Chief Justice will do the needful, and we will know what the outcome will be later.
Let me come back to you briefly, Adam, before I go back to Bobby Vanson, because I had to truncate your thoughts for a bit. We've got to this point. For Mr. Domelevo, he feels there are some machinations at play. Maybe in the end to oust Kissi Agyabeng. Maybe he's becoming too much of a thorn in some pieces of flesh. But maybe not, because they are citing legal elements, procurement breaches, treating people unfairly, and immediately springing to my Sicily Dapai and the rest. Is there a ploy, do you feel? And if not, do you think this does not even merit our time, that it should be thrown out?
Well, I mean, I think that's always important to allow, like Mr. Domelevo has said, allow the processes to go on. We cannot begin to try and curtail or say there is no evidence. I mean, these are the rights of citizens. The processes must be followed. However, absolutely yes. I mean, to be honest with you, in the recent past, I don't think any of the anti-corruption agencies have done for us what the OSP has done, in spite of all its difficulties, including the fact that it took till last quarter of 2023 for them to now begin engaging staff. I mean, prior to then, they probably had just about 10, 15 people all the way from 2018 to September 2023. So the bulk of the issues that they've worked on, they have been understaffed. And so for those of us who understand the logistics in the office and what has gone on, we think that the OSP has to a very large extent served this purpose by raising their flag, picking up issues when they came into the public domain, indicating an interest, giving us feedback every 6 months, in spite of all these challenges. And we haven't had that kind of, high-profile feedback taken on of issues by other anti-corruption agencies. And so that has left the field wide open. Clearly, the corruption fights back when you are fighting corruption. We begin to wonder, is it the government of the day that is attempting to make sure that this gentleman who seems to be taking up issues they probably don't want him to take up and trying to, take a trajectory on it, make sure the institution does all the investigations. Is it the current government, or is it Martin himself? Because it's actually quite very odd that Martin should be taking this path. So it doesn't serve our fight well. And as Mr. Domelevo said, it would have been much better, clearly, that even if Martin felt that these were substantive issues, he should have allowed other people to take it up, because it doesn't look good at all. It looks like Martin has a vendetta, and we are wondering, is he being influenced because there is a bigger issue? Somebody doesn't want Kissi Agyabeng in office. And these are matters that all of us as citizens must be concerned about as we approach an election, and we don't know what kind of transition we'll have. Perhaps who knows what is going to go on in terms of more procurement issues, even higher up, and they don't want anybody looking at it.
Let me come to you, Bobby Banson, before maybe in some 30 seconds I take final thoughts from all of you. A case of sour grapes, maybe. You do know that even in recent times, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has had his own vehement disagreements with the Special Prosecutor on the handling of the Cecilia Dapa case, forwarded to Iyoko, the AG saying baseless, throw it out, and all of that, and the OSP's response. What do you see, what do you think this could culminate in as far as the Chief Justice's end is concerned? What are some of the processes that can be expected?
Well, like I said, if the petition filed had evidence attached where the Chief Justice thinks there's a prima facie case, the committee will be set up to investigate. The membership of the committee has been well set out in the OSP Act. Yes, that will not be in this way. But if the Chief Justice thinks that these are mere allegations, averments on the face of it without any evidence, I expect her to come to the conclusion that there is no prima facie case. And nobody should be fooled. The Chief Justice is a very independent person. If we see her utterances in some of the cases, whatever, I mean, in an administrative authority, as she has, that she thinks is the best at that point in time, she will do it. And so I expect some fairness from her at that point in time. Now,
but interestingly, in the court of public opinion, it's not looking very good for one side, and I'm sure you know that side. In the court of public opinion, there are lots of questions. People asking, wait a minute, just hold it right there. What is going on? You know what I mean? What do you think in that court of public opinion? Though legally, it doesn't hold water. What do the optics? What do they convey?
No, I say that the office of the Chief Justice has two jurisdictions: the administrative jurisdiction and the judicial jurisdiction, played by the same person. In exercising that administrative jurisdiction, it's completely at his or her discretion. If you think that the discretion has not been exercised rightly, the Constitution provides for the way for you to do it. In the judicial decision, the Chief Justice never sits alone. She always sits with 5, with 7, with 9. And so it will be very difficult to say that she has single-handedly influenced every other person that she sat with to take a certain judicial decision. It's very difficult. You may not win your case all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that something has gone. That is why, I say that no matter how thin you slice a bread, there will always be two sides. Definitely somebody will not be happy. But with the administrative role, it's completely at her discretion. If she exercises it and you are not happy, the Constitution provides for ways to bring it up. And we've seen cases filed by lawyers, personally, against some of the administrative decisions taken by the Chief Justice. And we are going through the process. There are instances where even courts have decided contrary to administrative decisions of the Chief Justice. So the judiciary is not as as independent as it can get. Let me put it that way. And contrary to what people think it is. Sometimes the problem is political actors, politicians putting spins, their own interpretation, just to malign it. But I always say that, listen, let the judiciary play its course. There are always remedies available to you. Now, back to the Attorney General.
So briefly on that, because of time, that's the final bit for you.
Yes. When there was that discourse between the Attorney General and the Iyoko and the Office of Special Prosecutor, for me, it lends credence to the argument that it is time we separate the Office of the Attorney General from the Ministry of Justice. Completely. Because that was a clear case of the person exercising that authority as the Attorney General saying something contrary to a supposedly independent institution that we have set up and resourced to carry out investigations of corruption and corruption-related offenses against all persons, including politically exposed persons. Now, imagine if the Attorney General office was also independent At least they would have said, go to court with the evidence presented to you by the OSP and let the court come to a final conclusion. But here you have the Office of the Attorney General, who is a political appointee, the Minister of Justice, who is also the same person, political appointee, and the target of the investigation is also a political appointee. If we don't separate those two offices, it will be very difficult for us to get far with independent investigations and prosecution of politically exposed persons. And so back to the OSP situation, I am really looking forward to how this will pan out. But we have international agencies looking at this for sure, because I'm sure there's been a lot of funding of the OSP office by donors, international agencies. And so if they think that the political actors are not interested in this, then we will look like a joke. You can't go around saying something else and then doing something else at home. So this is a test case, and I hope we come out of it as a country with our reputation intact.
Litmus test our reputation on the line. Bobby Manson, thank you. Let me bring in Daniel Yao Domelevo. Final thoughts on this matter. What are your expectations?
Well, let the case continue and we see how it pans out. But I personally am sad about the development because it may not encourage too many people to volunteer to fighting anti-graft as we expect or want it in our country. But be it as it may, it doesn't matter how well you are doing. If you fall foul of the law must take its course. So let's see how the law pans out. And I hope at the end of the day, we will all emerge victorious as a country.
Thank you, Daniel Domelevo. Let me also bring in Adam Senanu. You have the final word.
Well, thank you. I quite disappointed in Mr. Martin Ben Kaisalamizi Amidu. I think that he could have served us much better in terms of the anti-corruption fight, even if he felt this was an issue, to get others to champion it. I'm not quite sure it's going to contribute positively to the fight. I'm quite sure the Chief Justice will give the Special Prosecutor the opportunity to respond, and hopefully that should allow us to see a much more objective way forward in terms of the responses. I don't know whether that will be made public, but hopefully it will give us a lot more confidence that the systems are working for us. And I am just concerned. I hope that the government and nobody in the government has a hand in this because we do need these institutions to move our nation forward. And let's see how things pan out.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for having joined the conversation. You just heard anti-graft campaigner Edem Senanu there, pretty surprised by this development. We also had Bobby Manson, a lawyer, and we also had former Auditor General Daniel Yao Domelevo. Well, there's still more to expect on the AM show. We'll be right back with more details on cement prices, on the rains yesterday, and on other developments. We'll be right back.
When I was sworn in, and in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. I ought to. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me me cry about for it. Me hear me to me. Emre swan eko.
In the first place, it came as a surprise, as something that we never expected. Come to think of the relationship that we've built with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I would say to an authority that the cement industry will be, I think, if not the only industry or one of the industries that have established a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Trade and Industry because of the sensitivity of the product, because of how economically the product is being, seen in the country. You're talking about cement, and he's talking about the use of cement, infrastructure, buildings, blah, 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 blah. They put it that way. So we established that relationship. And one of the key areas for this memorandum of understanding is to judge so that we really look into what goes into cement production in terms of cost. So that at least at the ending point in time, the cement prices will be stabilized. Among other things, just to ensure there's fairness in the competition. Now, there is actually tense competition because there are a lot of manufacturers. And again, the sensitivity of this product in terms of quality, we should ensure that the quality is always actually complied with. Because when producing substandard cement, you know the consequences, collapse of buildings. So, all these put together, we've really established a very good relationship with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So on this, it comes as a shock because of price that, hey, these people have increased their price. The first approach, I really think the best approach that the minister should have done was to call us for a meeting.
So you're expecting more of a forum where the privately engaged the manufacturers, than a fiat being issued?
Exactly, because the point is that we are talking about production here. We are talking about, manufacturing here. So it means the outcome, and we are talking about production cost. That leads to prices. And these manufacturers who are into that business, that professional business, considering all factors have come with a price. Definitely they have a basis. They have a justification. Then you see somewhere, just issue a directive that, hey, just like reverse it. On what basis?
Are you going to comply with that directive of reversing the prices?
It can't work. Because the point is that with the directive doesn't come with any basis. Because the point is that the price increases came with basis. City depreciation. Cement production is hinged on importation, clinker, and other allied, equipment, spare parts, whatever. And the ministry knows it. About 75%, 80% of the raw materials, they are imported, dollar-based. And my brother, for 3 months, you're talking about, a cedi to dollar, 11 to 15.
So you heard there from the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers. They say they cannot reduce the prices of cement due to the depreciation of the cedi, the cost of raw materials, the clinker and others that they use. In other words, they're also saying that, Mr. Trade and Industry Minister, you are saying this, but it is not grounded in our reality and we shall not comply. But how then do we move forward? What interventions can come to play, especially owing to the cost of cement already? If you're in the housing industry, what does that mean? If you're purchasing your home or building your home, what does that mean? We're joined by the Chief Executive Officer of GRADA, the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association. He's in the person of Samuel Amegayibo. Good morning, Mr. Amegayibo.
Good morning, Benjamin, and good morning to your viewers.
How did you receive this latest increment in cement prices and then the reaction from the Trade Minister?
Thank you, Benjamin. I think it was very disturbing, especially when I heard the margins of increments. 10 cedis, 15 cedis. I think in some cases you are even approaching 20 cedis per bag, depending on where you are in Ghana. I think that is very disturbing. We are already saddled with a lot of problems in how to put our productions on the market. Developing housing is a branch of manufacturing. And we are in the business of a product that takes a long time to turn around. And so when you are saddled with such fluctuations in between production line, it gives a serious concern. So we heard about the directive. And this is not the first. I think this directive came in another form a bit earlier, but it didn't seem to have received media attention as it's receiving now. And we were very surprised because much as we think that it's an expression of concern by a ministry or by government for a product, for an industry, the tone of the directive did not seem to make too much sense in the sense that there are fundamental problems that has made the cement price go up. What has been the support from the side of government to mitigate these measures? There was sometime last year, the cement manufacturers and consumers like real estate developers, we met the hierarchy of parliaments. And they brought out all these issues affecting their production, including the cedi dollar exchange rates, the freight costs, as well as the general costs on the international market for clinker, for example, which constitutes about 95% of the product cost cement. And all these things were laid before the Parliament Select Committee. And between then and now, so far as I'm concerned, I have not heard any measures that has been rolled out as of this complaint and this engagement to sort of mitigate the fundamental causes of the prices in cement. So for us to wake up this morning to hear that there is a directive to, instruct the manufacturers to come down on the price, for us as consumers, we are fine. We'll be happy to see that those prices have come down. But to be fair to the cement producers, just as we are also manufacturers of some kind of a product, it doesn't sound fair when there are fundamental problems that are culminating to the cause of the reason why the prices are going up. You don't see
exactly the
any
point.
direction.
Exactly the point.
You don't see any direction from government.
Right.
Yes.
So you don't see any direction from government. Mr. Amegaibo, just hold for me. You don't see any direction from government. Okay. If you heard, the head, the president of that grouping, the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers, talking about all the components they use. You can look at clinker. There was a clear case made for clinker. Yeah. You can talk about alumina. You can talk about lime. All of these are components. Now, if the prices of those are shooting up, which businessman or woman does business to incur losses? Nobody. Exactly. So while you don't want it to go up, while I don't want it to go up, the fact too is, if the raw materials, the components have shot up astronomically, what do we expect them to do? So in that sense, what then would you say? You say government has not done enough. What would be your expectations from the trade ministry, from government in general?
I think any factor which is an external factor, obviously you have very little control over. But those that are internal, for example, what about the taxes that are on these products? If you had a bag of cement that costs 100 cedis, and the tax component, for example, is say 10%, it means that government will be earning 10 cedis over the 100 cedis.
Yes.
If the price has shot up to 150, it means that government is going to earn 15 Ghana cedis now instead of the 10 cedis, which was on the 100 Ghana cedis. So wouldn't government be able to do something about the tax component, which is the percentage of the product of the price, and say, I am either suspending taxes on some of these materials for a short while, whilst we have this major crisis hitting us, or I am applying only a flat rate of some small margin so that at least the difficulty or the hitches that has arisen, as are the cost of the international prices, the cedi dollar exchange rate, and the free charges, or all the charge problems that the manufacturers are going through, at least it's mitigated or reduced to a very minimal. You don't see any measure at all, nothing at all. What is the contribution of government in the fighting to bring these prices down? You don't see that, but you see directive instructing manufacturers or producers of a particular item to reduce their price, so that what? They kill the industries. We are going to have more problems if the industries die, because people are going to go home without earnings, and the dependents are not going to have access to survival means. So it means that if we don't find a way to at least allow these businesses to sustain, so that they maintain employment and allow people to earn something to make a living, then we are not going to live, and then we are also going to create more hardship on the people than we even think about.
And Mr. Amegaibo, if you contemplate it, there is Dangote Cement and the rest. There are those waiting in the wings in the sub-region. If your industry collapses, guess what? People will have to go outside and bring it in, which means that likely prices will go even higher than where they are now with these increments.
Yeah,
but there's also the factor of depreciation, because some of these raw materials may be brought in on the back of the dollar, and we see where the dollar is now, above 15 cedis to the dollar. How much of a factor is that?
That is a very significant factor. Very significant. Look at the margin of increment over a period of, I don't know whether 3 months or so. It has gone up from 12 to where we are heading towards 15. That is a very significant margin.
It is past 15, not heading towards 15. Yesterday, someone was lamenting to me how he had to go and get dollars, and he was paying north of 15 cedis, 15 cedis and some pesos to get every dollar.
Yeah, this is the reason why sometimes you find real estate developers indexing their prices to the dollar, because our product, as I told you, takes a long time. There's a difficulty where you are starting a project, let's say building a 4-bedroom house. You start the foundation, which we call substructure, and you pay 60 cedis for a bag of cement. When you are on the superstructure, where you are building the block work and the lintels to the gable end, you are buying cement at 70 cedis. When it is time for you to do plastering, you are buying it at 90 cedis. When you are doing screeding and other finishing, you are buying it at 100 cedis. How do you even price your house under that circumstance? So sometimes the indexing of the dollar, it is how we are able to sustain and at least maintain our capital. If not, we will all be wiped out of business, and the hardship, the overall hardship on the citizens of Ghana, who is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely hard.
In other words, is there a quick fix as far as the issues we are facing are concerned? Is there any quick fix, or is it only the tax handles we can tweak for now? What else can we do?
I think for now, that might be the only thing, because or else we may have to engage the manufacturers against and see if there are other cost components of their production that government can do something. But for me, for now, it is only the tax bit which I see as a clear option. And then also the import duty, import costs is also something that they can do something about. I remember when we met, they were even mentioning the cost of demurrage, how long it takes them to keep their ship, the ship that brings the clinker to offload. They also pay some amount of money for that duration, and they complain about it. I think these are some of the areas that government can look at to see how best it can help them to bring the price down. Before you can be a partner in mitigating price hikes, but you cannot be issuing directives for a businessman who has invested so much and must, at least, if he is not going to make profit, he should maintain his capital and sustain the business running.
Mr. Agyabeng, we're grateful for your time. He is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA for short. We were just discussing the bit about hikes in cement prices. Well, still to come on the show, we're going to be talking about vaccine hesitancy. It's becoming a major problem, especially in our part of the world, from malaria to even COVID-19. We'll be addressing some of the challenges in there and the way forward after the break. Do stay.
Boys, not his real name. A taxi driver at Tech Junction sits in his car unperturbed about the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination exercise. The 32-year-old driver is unwilling to take the COVID jab.
I haven't taken my jab because I am not sick. I think you only take the jab when you are sick. I am not sick, so I don't see why I should get vaccinated.
He believes the virus does not exist.
I don't know what
COVID-19 is. I don't believe it exists, so I'm not going to take the jab.
Other commercial drivers are skeptical of the COVID-19 vaccine due to conspiracy theories that were made up. Most of them are yet to decide whether to take the vaccine or not.
To me, no, they are now say slow on me home kakra. Now say me slow kakra. But actually, no, me home say slow be.
Originally, I was scared, but later I realized it has no extreme effect.
A problematic line of thought, and the global vaccination drive has been challenging. This has been due to the reluctance or flat refusal of some people to be vaccinated, thereby making it difficult to achieve widespread immunity against infectious diseases, to achieve herd immunity. Now, against this background, the African Media and Malaria Research Network is partnering the World Health Organization and other stakeholders to run a media engagement project for increasing the uptake of vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccines, that is the Media for Vaccine project, across Ghana, and curbing the wrong information around the vaccines. Well, today's discussion is about the reported low patronage of the COVID-19 vaccine and the disturbing trend known as vaccine hesitancy. Joining me in the studio this morning, I have Dr. Gloria Chandi. She is a former Director of Health for Ghana West. She joins me in the studio. Dr. Chandi, good morning.
Good morning.
It's really good to have you. I think the last time you joined me for a conversation, we were talking about some of these things. And here we are again, still talking about vaccine hesitancy. But let's start from the start. How bad is it?
Vaccine hesitancy is one issue. If you are not very careful, it will run everything, every gains we've made down. Because vaccines are not what we should fear, because they are biological substances that have been prepared to fight against specific diseases. So if people refuse and then only parts are immunized and then the larger majority is not immunized, everything that has been done, goes back to square zero.
We are all still at risk because of that.
For sure.
And in our case, I would ask, what then are the benefits of immunization? Because that is part of where the problem starts. You heard that driver say, I am not sick, and it is only for those who are sick. But the rationale is very different. So what are the benefits of immunization?
Well, when we immunize against a particular disease, it protects us from becoming severely sick. It also protects you from not even getting. Some people will not even get it at all. Others who might get it will not have the severest form. And then it saves you the cost of hospitalization, the time, the energy, and everything. And it protects the whole community or the whole nation. It covers everybody. Should we get more than 70% of the people getting immunized, precisely around 90%.
And I've mentioned immunization because we're not just looking at adults, we are also considering children. And there's a stark story in there. You were telling me just a short while ago. How bad is it for children? I mean, you would look at polio, you would look at rubella, measles, and the rest. What is the state of affairs in that sector?
Well, we are having hesitancy in childhood immunizations too. But I can clearly remember that, when I was a student nurse, I saw measles, children maimed from measles, children becoming deaf, children becoming blind from measles. Now you don't even see children who have measles because of immunization. Look at polio. In my time, I remember a neighbor had polio when we were children. That neighbor cannot walk well now forever. But now, there's no polio around anymore. You understand?
I think some years back, we was there eradication or something?
Eradication, yeah. It's all because of this immunization. So if we will just turn back and say that immunization is dangerous, so we won't immunize our children, where are we going to?
But there was a point too where there was a shortage of vaccines momentarily and all of that. Recently, the WHO also spoke about some of these where even until we use some of the others, new stock will not come in. But what vaccines are currently available?
Now we have all vaccines.
All vaccines?
All vaccines are available.
Okay.
There's no shortage now.
Okay, so for the children, we have all of them?
Yeah.
And then
for COVID-19, we have only J&J, that the Johnson & Johnson, the one touch.
Right.
That's what we have now.
The one you take one shot, and it's a single dose.
All, yeah.
How about malaria?
We have malaria vaccines too.
You know, it's something that most people
nationwide.
Don't know about or are even concerned about. Because they feel, oh, that's a malaria day.
The malaria day. You know, malaria also started like COVID. There were times Ghana was serious about malaria. Malaria was always in the headlines. But when it became, routine, we didn't hear of it again. So it's just like COVID. COVID came on top some time ago. It's not that COVID is gone. COVID is still there. But that emergency with it has reduced. So it doesn't mean it's not there. So we have malaria vaccines too, but it's for children. And they take it at 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, and then 18 months.
So 6 months, 9 months.
7 months.
7 months.
9 months, and then 18 months.
I see. But how do communities get to know that maybe in a catchment area, vaccines are available, especially for the children?
Yeah, we announce from the hospitals, the health centers. We go from home to home during home visiting. We go for school health services. We even immunize children right in school. And then community, public places, we are always there. And when there are vaccines available, sometimes on the air, when we visit radio stations and other places, we inform them about availability of vaccines.
I have heard in the past, this just came to mind, sometimes someone will trek, maybe walk with the baby or board a vehicle with the scarce or little sum they have, come to a center for vaccination.
Only to be
There's
told.
a queue, so they are not able to do it, and they go and they don't come back because economically it's too steep for them. Others too, there have been the cases where I hear for the medical personnel, you open a vaccine and maybe you can use it for 2 or 3 or more people. But there's only one person there. So they want to wait till there are about 3 or 4 people. They've been told not to do that, but they are still doing it. So people come, they wait for a long time, it's not happening, they go. How are you addressing those problems?
Yeah, we have public health nurses and community health nurses on the ground. And each facility has their strategy of reaching out to people. Now we even have notebooks we write parents' telephone numbers in. So when there's vaccine available, we only take the notebook and call those who missed to come. Yeah, we have issues like people living far away. Where they are, nobody goes there. And these are the people we should not miss at all. When they find time to come to us, even if the vaccine is 20 doses and it's that one person, we need to open the vaccine and serve that one person, because you don't know what that one person will get and then give back to that community. So we have been advised, yes. A few people look at the economic issues regarding the vaccines, but we didn't buy it with our money. It's government money. Government says that give it out. So I'm encouraging my fellows who think about this, wastage rate and then are tempted to allow people to go. It's a missed opportunity. We shouldn't allow missed opportunities in our work.
And in terms of these communities, what has the uptake been like? Even as we talk about what schemes you're using. I know sometimes you use community leaders, influencers, and all of that. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we have companies like AMREM and others who also help with media engagements to make more announcements on these vaccines. And then we also have our community information centers. They charge us though, but we work through them to announce our presence when there is any outreach services or if there's any special program. We also have people who have taken it upon themselves as volunteers to announce availability of vaccines or inform people when there are special programs on vaccinations.
Right. Let's talk about innovation. I'm sure you've had to come, even apart from everything you've told me, you're being forced to think outside of the box, how to get people on board. And how are you also collaborating with the Ghana Health Service to drive this initiative?
Yeah, Ghana Health Service is the main body for issuing out the vaccinations. AMREM only comes in to support in terms of finance for maybe outreach, how the vaccines will get to the next community, how we can communicate to people about vaccination. And when it comes to innovations, sometimes we hold community dramas and then we have a derby, and then there are drama or role plays about vaccination. Sometimes too, when there is a funeral or something, we quickly move in to, mount our vaccination post there. We use so many things. And we also work on weekends sometimes.
I see.
We are even planning to institute the weekend, vaccinations, because we realize that mothers wake up at dawn. They leave their children and leave instructions. Nobody should vaccinate my child. Nobody should give any immunization. So if you're able to work on weekends, visit houses on weekends, I think we can engage mothers to understand and then have them immunize their children.
Let me ask, from our standpoint, and always with the problems we have to solve, we also look at ourselves. How can the media help? How has the media helped? What more can we do?
You know, media is very powerful. You understand? When it comes to Mother's Day, media hype Mother's Day, so everybody talks about Mother's Day. When it is Father's Day and the media is cold about it, everybody too is cold about it. So if in your interactions, your health sections, you talk about immunizations, you talk about how people have benefited from vaccines, I think this hesitancy will come down. They trust you.
Final words, future plans, what your expectations are. Final words.
So I would say that vaccine hesitancy is something we shouldn't encourage at all. Otherwise, all the gains we've made will come to square one. I fear the lockdown we went through. COVID is not totally gone. So we need to put in all our efforts to ensure that we bring it at bay. We don't have to sleep for COVID to come up again. All of us has a responsibility. You sit in a car, you can talk to the driver about vaccination, because if this driver has COVID, he can give it to everybody in the car. Not COVID alone. The childhood immunizations. We now have children who are healthy because of vaccination. If we should allow hesitancy to come in, and then we go back to where we have polio, whooping cough, and all those diseases, we'll all be affected. So let's be each other's keeper and ensure that this vaccine hesitancy, we drive it out of our midst.
In other words, we are all involved. We should all get on board.
Yes.
I always say this, though. You know, there is that minutiae. Whenever there are vaccines, there's always a very small proportion of someone who may take it and, owing to their own predispositions, have certain. That is what you would usually see when it comes to those with all these conspiracy theories. But I've taken 4 shots of COVID-19 vaccines. AstraZeneca, I think the Johnson & Johnson, and I don't know whether there was a Moderna.
There was a Moderna, there was a Sputnik.
But I've taken the 2 shots, and then I took 2 booster shots. Nothing has happened to me. I go for regular checkups. There's nothing wrong with me. So if you don't take it, you could be compromising your own health. For at least coming here, we're grateful for your time, Dr. Gloria Chandy, former Director of Health, Ghana West. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We're grateful.
Thanks for having me.
Right. Stay with us. There's still more to come on the AM show. Of course, we're also going to be talking to you about the Joy Impact Makers Awards. It comes off this month. What should you know? We'll be bringing you details of that later on the show. We'll be right back. Education, they say, is the key. But when it comes to Ghana's education, we know that sector has been beset with numerous challenges, from inequitable access to quality education, misalignment between education and the needs of the workforce, leaving a gap, limited integration of technology and education, and more. But to tackle these challenges holistically, the International Community Schools Accra campus will in July be hosting the inaugural International Educators Summit. This is built as a groundbreaking initiative organized by the Ghana Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, that is Ghana ASCD, that will convene international educators to address the pressing challenges faced by Ghana and other African countries. Well, joining us for a conversation this morning to look into these issues and what this summit will bring to bear, we have Dr. Charles Yeboah. He is co-founder and director of ICES. He is also executive director, Ghana ASCD. And joining him, we are forming a sandwich in the studio, Dr. Laureen Adams, Director of Professional Learning, Ghana ASCD. Lady, gentlemen, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
Dr. Yeboah, I'll start with you. Now, you run a very successful, the International Community Schools.
Yes.
It's not just Accra, you have Kumasi as well. Mm-hmm. But if I asked you to give an assessment of the educational sector in Ghana, from where you sit and what you see, what would you say?
Well, I would say that there's been a lot of improvement. Government over the years have done what they can, to create access. Over the years, there's been numerous reforms, to improve educational outcome. In recent times, we know, the signature project of the current government, which is the free SHS. So all of that is to increase access and give opportunity to as many, young people as possible. The challenges, though, have been, even though there has been widened access, often, and I think this is common knowledge, that quality, has been compromised. And that is one area that government and citizens, all of us together, need to work on, to ensure that not only do we have access, but access to quality. Not access to education, but access to quality education.
And that is basic. Access is one level.
Yes.
Quality is the next step.
It's the next level. And it's the quality that you need to be able to compete in our fast-changing world. It's not just education, but quality education.
Let me come to Dr. Adams on this point. So, as far as you're concerned, you're with the Ghana ASCD.
Yes.
Our curricula in Ghana, are they fit for purpose in terms of the education that the current dispensation across the world would need, and also to fill the job market? Because you educate people so that they can also fill industry-related positions. Are we there? Are we doing that?
I think we're getting there, right? We're going to be rolling out a new curriculum, and it is aimed to meet some of those 21st century needs. But in addition to curriculum, it's also about pedagogy. So we need to make sure that educators know how to create learning spaces that enable young people to be critical thinkers, creative thinkers who have opportunities to collaborate with each other and can really practice communication, especially through technology. So all of those things in tandem are what we need, and we're moving in that direction, yes.
Right. So you would say that we're on the right trajectory?
Yes, absolutely.
By and by, we're getting there.
Yes.
Let's also talk about, and I'll start with you, Dr. Adams, and also go to Dr. Yeboah on this. The inaugural International Educators Summit is coming off in July, between the 5th and the 7th. There's a proposal to deal with the challenges that remain. What are some of these challenges that you're going to be addressing in the course of this summit?
So as Dr. Yeboah mentions, one area we really want to focus in on is the quality of education. So we're going to be sharing some strategies and techniques, and again, focusing on pedagogy that supports 21st century learning. We really want to help prepare young people for the world of work. So we know that there's a gap around students finishing school and being ready to enter the workforce. Additionally, the technology divide. So something we're trying to address through the conference is sharing how to use technology in education. Do you want to share?
Yes. And then we've seen, in terms of wellness, what happened, during COVID. And on technology, we saw a real digital divide. Private schools, not even all private schools, but some private schools were able to keep students in school. Right. Public schools were shut, for over a year and caused a great learning loss. So
those who were able to keep them had to innovate virtually.
Had to innovate.
Go virtual.
Had to innovate. But first you have to have even the resources to be able to do that, right? But in the public space, we saw a huge challenge, leading to learning loss. So technology is very, very important, to talk about. But now technology is moving so fast that you don't need all the gadgets. People on their phones, can actually access, new technology such as generated, AI and machine learning that you can actually access on smartphone. And in Ghana today, everybody has access to smartphone because everybody WhatsApp, right? So we need to begin to think, about how we can leverage on technology that we have. We don't even need to worry about what we don't have, but what we have now, to improve education technology in Ghana. And the conference will be dealing with that. And of course, and then I mentioned COVID. We know how COVID dealt quite a blow on mental health. And so educators go through a lot of challenges. Around the world, we are seeing educators burn out. One of the things that we'll be talking at the conference also to do with mental well-being of teachers and educators. Because if you take good care of teachers, they take good care of learners.
And interesting perspectives, because you go to some parts of the country and even school buildings, brick and mortar, are practically non-existent. The teacher has to go through 100 times more just to impart education. But I'm curious, as part of this summit, are you going to be looking as well at the divide? There is unemployment, yes, but there's underemployment where people actually have the skills, but they are not getting work compatible with their skill set. And so they end up doing something completely different. Is that an angle at some point will be addressed at the summit?
Yeah, I think we hope to do so. One of the speakers that will be speaking at the conference is Patrick Awia, and we had a conversation with him just 2 days ago, and he was going to anchor, his talk on how education can actually help transform economic, development in the country. And so, yes, we will not only be talking about world of work, but how do you get them there? To give them the skill set that they need to be able to be employable, because there's a direct link, between education, world of work, and productivity and economic development, and therefore fight of poverty. So we'll be looking at all of that. Yeah.
Dr. Adams, how involved has the education ministry been in all of this, as far as you know, the education ministry? How involved have they been?
Yeah, so they're supporting the conference and actually supporting one of our post-summit events too, which is a leadership masterclass, which we're going to offer on the 8th of July. So our summit is the 5th through 7th, and on the 8th, we are inviting 300 educational leaders only from Ghana to get a masterclass in leadership, and that's sponsored by the Ministry of Education and GES.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's talk about speakers, those who are going to be at this event,
Yes.
those we can expect to elaborate on those crucial issues. Dr. Emo.
Yes, so the minister himself, Minister for Education, is going to be there. He's going to come and open the conference.
Dr. Edichum.
Dr. Edichum, yes. Right. And the first day, Patrick Awia is going to be our keynote speaker. He'll be speaking, in fact, he's going to be with us the whole day. Not only would he speak, provide a keynote, but he also do, a 1 hour or more elaboration about how education can really help transform the country. And then it's going to be on a panel with one of the very well-respected educator from the U.S., Doretta Hammond, who is also coming to really talk deeper about how we can leverage on AI, to improve educational outcome in Ghana.
Right. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to when this is happening, who can attend,
yes.
And then I'll come to Dr. Adams on what your expectations are. What are the outcomes you are looking for? But let's start with where it's happening, when it's happening.
Okay, so we already talked about the dates, July 5th to 7th, and then the post-leadership masterclass, post-summit leadership masterclass on the 8th. This is happening at ICS campus in Obojo. We have a beautiful modern auditorium that will host the conference. And we are inviting all educators. This is going to be the first time in Ghana that we are going to have over 100 presenters, about 80 of them coming from the US alone. But they're coming from UK, they're coming from other parts of Africa, to really convene and provide over 100 presentations, over the period of 3 days, right? And so all educators, policymakers, NGOs, school teachers, school leaders, Ministry of Education agency leaders, and everybody who is in the education space is welcome and is highly recommended, to attend, right. This conference. Yeah.
Outcomes?
Yes.
What are your expectations?
Yes. So we want our young people to be continuous lifelong learners, and so in order for us to expect that of them, we need to model that. Right. So we are sharing learning, we are networking, we're hoping to gain practical strategies and tools that are transferable. So Ghanaian educators worldwide will learn from experts in the field in highly interactive learning sessions. There'll be deep dives, book talks. We have a lot of published authors who are coming as well. And of course, just to grow your professional network, right? So you can continue to learn from each other and grow, because education is innovating at a very quick pace, and you need to have resources beyond your local context so that you can stay competitive.
You mentioned pedagogy, and pedagogy is evolving. It's not static, and you must do your best. And the theme for that event, of course, reimagining education for the future we seek, Africa and the world in dialogue. Education is key, but what we do with it is the main bit. Well, thank you, Dr. Adams, for joining the conversation. Dr. Charles Yeboah is co-founder and director of ICS. He's also executive director, Ghana ASCD. And we also had in the studio Dr. Laureen Adams, director of professional learning with the Ghana ASCD. We'll take a bit of a breather. We'll return with more action shortly. Do stay.
When it comes to the disabled people, we have about 25 of them that we will be supporting. Then the Farm for School too, we have many children that we support, and there are many. Yeah, there are many. We also, the women in the community, we also create employment for them. So when our crops are ready, we engage the women in the community. So they buy our vegetable fruits and vegetables at the farm price, they sell, and then they pay the farm price, the profit they use to pay for their children's education. Joy News Impact Makers Award, it will help. It will be a great help if we should get some support. We'll be able to expand our farm so that more children can benefit from what we are doing.
My name is Joy Okra, the CEO of Awo Fields Limited. My company name is Awo Fields. I'm a full-time farmer and then agripreneur. Aside the full-time production on our own field, we also support farmers to produce crops for us, like soya bean, sorghum, maize, and rice. I started by producing soya bean. That year, everything went right. Production was okay, but we had a serious challenge during harvesting time. There was no machine to harvest our soya bean for us, and so we had a serious post-harvest loss. And so that pushed me to start looking for solutions. And at that time, I realized the challenges farmers are facing, what farmers go through to produce food, to give food to us. I really felt their pain, so I have to look for a solution for them. So we came across this multi-purpose thresher, and that was it for us. I used it on my farm, and the following year we were able to thresh our produce on time. Though what we have is not enough, but it was able to solve that problem, the challenge that I went through and other farmers are also going through. Farmers are happy, and when I see them happy, that is the greatest motivation to me, to see farmers harvesting their produce, getting quality and premium grain, and as a result giving them premium price. We started since 2020 with 2 machines and on my personal field. So other farmers started approaching me. We couldn't do it alone, so we have to bring in more.
Welcome back on the AM show. Sweetie Abochi has been out and about. She is back with me in the studio. But before she comes through, the 4th Industrial Revolution is here. But what does this mean for Ghana and Africa? Join global and local leaders to address the impact of technology at the first ever Industry Engagement Forum 2024 by Industry Immersion Africa in collaboration with the MasterCard Foundation Ghana and the Ministry of Education through the National Service Scheme. Be part of this groundbreaking immersive experience. Now, the 2-day event will serve as a pivotal platform fostering dialogue and collaboration in a bid to bridge the industry-academia gap, empower STEM graduates across Africa, and combat youth unemployment. The theme, Industry Driving AI and 4IR in Africa, Collaborative Pathways for Digital Transformation in Ghana. 2 days to take note of, 22nd of May, that is Wednesday, and Thursday, the 23rd of May, 2024. The time, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. each day. The venue, the UPSA Auditorium, Accra. For more details and to register, you can go to www.iiafrica.org, or you can just go there to register as well. The media partners, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News, and myjoyonline.com. Well, let's get into the conversation as well, because we have our Impact Makers Awards coming up. I'm excited. Because last year, those whom we celebrated, from priests to other religious to people down in the trenches, let me put it that way, who are serving in schools, in communities, and all of that. We have come full circle again, and this time we are looking at a number of nominees from different parts of the country that we are looking to celebrate. For you, I don't know what your impression has been of the Impact Makers.
I'm all about celebrating our heroes. You know, most of the time we shine light on these celebrities, popular people, but the real heroes are the people in the communities, in the trenches, like you say, Ben, who are making a difference. So if there's a program like this that can celebrate, honor, recognize the work that these heroes are doing, thumbs up. And so you should be on the lookout for that. I think it's a targeted event, so if you want to be invited, Benjamin, over to you.
I believe my invitation has been signed, sealed, and delivered. But let me just let you know, there are some interesting personalities. You go to the eastern regional town of Noka, for example, there's Eunice Kissi Agyabeng for her impact as far as education and volunteerism is concerned. There's not much we do in terms of volunteerism in Ghana, and it is sad. In some countries, right, you volunteer, and over time, that is how sometimes you end up getting jobs, getting work. But here, even those avenues are not there because some big MNC sees you, and then through that, they absorb you, and you have work to do. We need to create those opportunities in Ghana. There is also Reverend Sister Jacinta Ekwia Kwachua Osei. She has been selflessly sustaining and promoting community welfare in Achim Aprade in the eastern region. There is Andrew Ejenim Boating from Sampa in the Bono region. Then you can even talk about women's empowerment and girl child education in Tamale. Rhoda Wedam will come to mind. Right here in the Greater Accra region, Nicholas Kofi of Medina, who has also been impacting education and social welfare. There's Dr. Joel Dua Afi from Kukwom in the Asunafo district in the Ahafo region. All of these people are going to be on the bill as we seek. All of them are winners, ab initio, but we're going to have an ultimate winner, and that is slated for the 31st day of May 2024 at the Accra International Conference Center. We are waiting, sweetie, with bated breath.
Yes.
With bated
Counting
breath.
down the days to the big day.
Maybe we should give you an award for your patriotism and donning
in my Ghana colors.
Ghana colors every now and then.
Right.
So that's what we can look forward to as far as the Joy Impact Makers Awards, the Joy News Impact Makers Awards are concerned. And every year we're trying to do more and more so that we can award more and more people, celebrate more and more. You saw there Father Andrew Campbell and some others, like I said, from last year's event. Is going to be bigger and better in 2024. And from here, there's no stopping. We're going to go on and on. You remember that song from way back? On and on and on, on and on and on.
I'm not about to sing here, Ben.
But why does it appear I'm the better singer here?
Oh, you win. There's no arguments there.
Oh, you don't want to go there?
No.
This is not one of the areas you want to contest me on.
No, please. I'm sorry, no.
Okay.
But I like, what this does is that it encourages more people to participate in community development, and opens, many doors of opportunities for them. It brings in resources and all that.
You may think nobody is watching, but someone is watching. But you've been out and about, right?
Yes,
You've
I
gone
have
out
been.
And about. What did you see this morning?
After 6 or 7 hours of heavy downpour yesterday, I really was just curious to see how people are faring, with a flood situation here in Accra.
Hey.
But I didn't find floods. What I found was filth. It was interesting to find out that some people in Adabraka are saying that they've been intentionally neglected, or they've neglected the filth situation because it's not an NPP stronghold. But, we'll package all that for you in our subsequent editions of Filth Exhibition, so be on the lookout. But you can listen to some of the things that we'll bring all that to you when we package it for Filth Exhibition. But that's what you're seeing on your screens right now. After the heavy downpour yesterday, this is what Adabraka looks like. Anyway, meanwhile, we are still waiting to see Accra return into the cleanest city in the world by the end of President Akufo-Addo's tenure.
And that goat is consuming filth, maybe some elements.
Benjamin, there are school children walking on an open gutter. It's so dangerous to see. Small children. And this gutter, well, I do not want to spoil it for you. Just be on the lookout when this airs. Hopefully, one of our Tuesday and Thursdays that we show the filth exhibition series. The filth is not going away anytime soon, Ben. And I like that we are doing this. We're exposing the situation. We are calling on the authorities to say, look, you say you are going to do this. I don't know what budgets you've allocated for it, but you are not doing the work that you say you are doing.
When in the midst of COVID, we had some $43 million assigned to the Sanitation and Water Resources Ministry when Cecilia Dapa was still Minister of State.
Is that the money
now?
I was whispering to Ben saying that's the money we found, but...
I don't know about which money we found, but I'm just saying that with all of these sums of money, what is happening? It reminds me of KSM, Modin Sani. It's been another beautiful day. Let me celebrate someone and then we can be out of here. I had, where is it? Here, there it is. So Robert Dela Mawenyega sent in this one. He says, today is my daughter's birthday. Karen Marie Selatonam Ajo Mawenyega. Okay. So I'm taking my time. Karen Marie Selatonam Ajo Mawenyega. God is great. Right? She is 3 years today. May God bless and let his face shine upon her throughout her journey in life. And that is from your father, Robert Dela Mawenyega. Mawenyega is the name of one of my siblings. So it's a name that resonates with me. Happy birthday once more in advance. Your birthday is tomorrow. Abigail Jamesy. Happy birthday to you. Our photo of the day now. Are you ready? Let's get it.
And it's capturing the torrential rains that turn SCC
It's a flood prone once. In 2 minutes.
Every single
after
time,
2 minutes.
Ben.
There are some places in 2 minutes to flood.
A little bird told me that the authorities don't want this flood situation to go away because it's a money-making venture. They can go and petition international organizations and say that Accra is flooding, give us some money to do this, but they take the money and they pocket it.
And I hear someone protesting, someone who lives who also spends time in the Kasra area.
Saying we should wrap up, huh? Anyway, happy Friday. Enjoy the rest of our bulletin.
It's an exciting installment. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless.